Testing, testing. All right. Now I just got to, there's something I'm missing. Oh, I have to go join the Discord. There we go. Oh, there's the... Is that the right URL? Hey everybody, hope everybody's having a good day. That's the right URL. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is. Oh, no? Well, that's my face. Put that in roughly the right position. There we go. Right, so I hope everybody's having a good one. We did just start, so give it a moment for people to trickle in. I'm sure that we'll get some conversations going, and if we don't, then we can always change topics. Look, don't say no opposition here, change topic. We started like 2 minutes ago. Oops. Science lied to you about church. Science didn't tell me anything about church. Okay, we have some guests. Shall we see who we can talk to? Let's talk to FaZe Bro. FaZe Bro, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Oh, what up, Dr. Blitz?
Hey, I appreciate that, but did you come up because you're opposition, or?
Oh yeah, I'm an op. It's definitely 6,000 years.
Okay, why do you think it's 6,000 years?
Because time, as the physicality of time is just, it's a weird concept. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. I think it's...
If there's no such thing, then how can you say it's 6,000 years?
Well, that's not a comment about the physicality of time, which is where I was going to go with it, right? That's more just a logical dependence on human interaction and human historicity, right? That's the only...
So to be clear, and I'm trying to use the word year in like the colloquially understood way, meaning how many times, or meaning that, you know, the Earth has gone around the sun more than 6,000 times. Do you disagree with that framing?
No, that is just that framing is apt for what time is, because that is logical dependency, right? One rotation is one cycle, right? So
yeah. So do you think that the Earth has gone around the sun more than 6,000 times?
No, that's why.
Okay, why not?
It started because, again, like that's what I was saying. Like this whole idea of the 13 billion year like thing is just. It's not the right way to think about what time is.
Look, we've moved on from talking about time. We're now just talking about how many times the Earth has gone around the sun, and you think it's 6,000 or fewer times.
Yeah.
Whether or not you think time is a construct, or you think time is like not physical or whatever, the point still stands, is you can count how many times the Earth has gone around the sun. That's just counting. There's no physicality or anything involved there.
I literally said that is logical dependency. That is not a causal time. It's because
I'm not saying anything about a causal time. I'm not saying anything about a causal time.
So you agree with me? And I was going to talk about...
No, I don't agree with you.
What do you make of the unitary time aspect of quantum mechanics? What is it? Unitary time evolution? What do you think about that?
So that assumes that time is like a static thing that exists in a Newtonian sense, but that's irrelevant to the question.
No.
The question is just merely how many times do you think the Earth went around the sun?
6,000 times.
Okay, why do you think it's not, say, 4.5 billion times, or 100 trillion times, or 2 million times, or 30 times? Why 6,000?
Because of human historicity. That's all. That's the best way.
I don't understand. How are those two things connected?
Because the earliest evidence for civilization is around that time.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's around 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, like, give or take.
So like twice as long ago?
No, give or take 12 to like 6, right? That's where it's about, because we're just trying to average out like where it's at. Like, it's not like,
But why do you think that human civilization has anything to do with the first time Earth went around the sun?
Because that's the best evidence we have for the physics of time. That's what I'm saying.
We're not talking about the physics of time. We're talking about just the Earth going around the sun.
Yeah, that's the best evidence that, like, it's the same thing. Why are you trying to separate?
Well, no, they're very much not the same thing. You don't need a physically real time in order to talk about how many times the Earth has gone around the sun, for example.
Again, based on this thing that I'm talking about, the Earth could have been birthed yesterday, or 6,000 years, or 12,000 years, or 12 billion years, or 12 trillion years. The point is the best way we can date is based on human history as of right now.
No, it's not a particularly good way of dating things.
Because physics is not about time at all.
What? How does that address what I just said?
Physics is not about time at all.
How does that address what I just said?
Time evolution.
How does that address what I said?
I literally addressed it by telling you that because we don't need to know how many times the Earth went around the sun. That is not how you're supposed to. That's a category error.
That's what a year is. It's not a category error. It's smack dab in the right category.
No.
It's how we define a year.
It's how we define a year.
Yeah.
Right? Because of a logical dependency of a full cycle. That's it.
What logical dependency? It's just a definition, bro.
But a full year, like that definition, does not exist in physics. There's no such thing.
No one cares. This is a question. This is a question about how many times. Like, look, we use words to mean things. The word year means the duration. The word year means the duration or the cycle of the Earth going around the sun. Now, the question, so if you don't like the language of time, we can change that. That's fine. We can absolutely just talk about how many cycles Earth has done around the sun. And you think for some reason it's 6,000 years when, based off of some sort of like human historicity or something like this, but we don't actually use human dates to figure out how long ago, for example, the first civilization existed. We use things like carbon dating to figure out how long ago the first civilizations existed.
Again, carbon dating falls into the category of this time, the physical time that does not exist. Again, carbon dating assumes.
So then why are you assuming it's 6,000 years or 12,000 years? Why do you agree with those numbers?
Human historicity.
No, human history doesn't get, like, humans didn't write down dates going back 6,000 years. How do you think we figured out how long ago? How do you think we figured out how long ago XYZ civilization existed?
Because of written records?
No, they didn't write down dates.
Wait, let me answer. Because we have a confluence of written records, that's one. Archaeological shit, that's two.
How do you figure out how old archaeological shit is?
No, we don't go into the physicalness of time. Again, the physical.
We're not talking about the physicalness of time. You can think time is metaphysical. You can think time is metaphorical or conceptual. It's irrelevant.
Wait. Anytime you bring physicality of time.
I'm not talking about. I haven't brought up physicality of time once. You're the only one who's brought it up.
Oh my. Okay, you need to let me finish.
Why do you keep bringing up physicality of time if I'm not bringing that up?
Because you brought up carbon dating.
Carbon dating. No, it has nothing to do with whether or not time is physical or not.
All these things are physicality of time, which does not exist.
No, it's not physicality of time. Time doesn't have to be. You can be an idealist and carbon dating still works.
No. It does not work. Again, decay, radiation, all those
Okay,
things.
so you don't trust carbon
not-
dating, because carbon dating is how we figured out, for example, that like Sumer was, or that Sumeria was like a civilization that formed 5,500 years ago, right? Like that, we use carbon dating to do that.
No. You can use human historicity to.
People weren't writing down dates back then. We don't know, like we didn't figure out when these things happened using dates.
Human historicity, a chain of humanity, human history.
How do you okay, so what chain of humanity? So give me an example. What chain of humanity are you using to go back 6,000 years?
Let's start with today. Today we have this, right? And then we go back, right? Back. We have a chain to, let's say, I don't know, the best time we can go back somehow coherently is to, Jesus's time, right?
We can go, but we can go a bit before that to the Greeks.
Yeah, we can go
probably around 500 years before that.
Yeah, that's why Jesus came around that time, because he knew what he's doing. And then after that, we need to be very specific and
what do we do?
I agree. Wait. I agree. We need to have an in-depth study about human history.
Yeah. So how do you? So what do you do?
After that.
Right. So what do you do? What do you do to go back further than that?
We are still not going to rely on the physics of time, because time does not
exist. So what do you do?
Again,
what do you do? So I'm asking for specifics here. Let's say that you can. Let's say that you can reliably figure out.
Your Big Bang theory. We're not.
Let's say. Phase. I'm asking you a very specific question. I'm asking you a very specific question. Let's say that you can reliably figure out when things were going back about 2,500 years using a calendar. Because calendars existed, like accurate calendars existed going back about that far. What do you do to go back further? How do you figure out, for example, are you familiar with the copper tablet of Ea Nasir?
That's the point. There is no further.
So you think that you think that we can only go back 2,500 years?
You asked me a question and you don't let me finish.
But you contradicted yourself.
The earliest evidence of the initiation of human civilization is around 4,000 to 5,000 BC.
Oh no, it's you can only get back about 2,500 years with calendars.
With calendars, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do to go back before that?
There's still a chain. chain.
Okay, so I'm asking for the details. What's the chain?
The chain is there's still history about.
Okay, give me the details. What do you actually do? How do you actually figure out when something happened?
I'm still gonna try to give you a chain. The chain is before the Greeks, right? There were the Persians.
And how long how do you figure out how long the Persians were for? How do you figure out when the Persians rose up and when they fell and all of this stuff?
There is a relation of Persians happening with the same instance with Greeks, right? The wars, we know about that, right? Them fighting each other and whatever. Before the Greeks became the big guy on the block, there were the Persians, and before the Persians became the big guy on the block, in the Persians, we know about them infighting against the Babylonians. So we know that they have it in their. Again, there's a chain about the Babylonians, them in their chain having straight into conquering, Judea and whatever. Then that we have the Bible. That is where we have.
Okay, so far you've made it back 2,500 years. How do you figure out when something happened before that?
I made it back to the Bible. The
Oh
Bible.
no, but we don't have dates. We don't have dates from the Bible.
No,
from the Hebrew Bible anyway.
That's not the point. You're doing a straw manning every time.
I'm not doing a straw man.
It's not a genuine conversation if you're gonna do this. Again, there's a chain.
That's so ironic.
The chain goes straight into the Bible, and even if you don't use the Bible.
Wait, no, it doesn't. By the way.
Wait. Let me finish. Even if
the Bible provides contradictory dates, date claims.
Wait. Even if you don't use the Bible, history would tell you that civilization kind of started, began.
What history? How do you get the 6,000 years?
Again, based on the chains that I just spoke about.
You didn't speak of any chains. You didn't mention it. You didn't give me any details. You just said, there's historicity with the Persians, and then the Persians with you didn't actually give me any details. What's the actual details here?
I told you, it does not stop with the Greeks. It goes into the Persians.
Okay, look, you're just saying civilizations. I want details.
What do you mean? The details? Yeah, the details are.
Yeah, what are the details here?
There is recorded history. Right?
Okay, give me the details. Don't just say there is recorded history. I want the details.
What do you mean? You want to talk about the detail? You don't know about basic
I want
history?
I want you to lay out for me the consistent chain that gets us to dates of events going back more than 2,500 years.
I think the Spartans and Persians fought. That's a famous Greek war.
Okay,
Like, that's
what was the
chain,
date?
like,
What was the date?
when the Spartans fought, when Darius fought the Spartans,
Yeah.
the gladiator story.
Yeah, what was the date?
The date probably around I don't know, like 300 AD. Sorry, BC.
Okay, so that's before, or that's after 2,500 years ago. We were talking about, I'm asking for dates, how you figure out dates before 2,500 years ago, because we can go back about 2,500 years with calendars. I want the details of the chain that you're saying exists. What's the chain?
The only thing you can postulate in the chains are human life and how long a human being
Okay,
lives.
so give me
That's
the
all.
chains then, please.
I told you, Greeks. Then back
Okay,
to
you're not
Persians.
just saying empires, saying civilizations is not a chain. I want the actual like records that we have that tell us this was then, and then we can use that to go back further, and we can use that to go back further. And I want the actual details here. Give me something more than vague platitudes.
Wait. You can rely on zero physics time evidence. And
That's a
just
cool
follow-
pivot.
Let me
That's a
finish-
cool
let me
pivot.
finish- Let me finish.
I'm
let
not
me
going to let
finish.
you. I'm not going to let you finish your pivot.
And let me
I
finish.
want the
And
chain.
we
Give
can-
me the
we can
details of
have
the chain.
A perfect account of human history that goes back to 4,000 to 5,000 years, which is
Okay,
the
give me the
Sumerian
account. Give me the chain.
The chain. If we stop at the Greeks, then we have the Persians. If we and then we go.
You're
to
just
the
naming.
Babylonians.
You're just naming civilizations. I want the actual details, like the texts. Give me the texts.
You want me to bring up
The actual chain,
Okay, I told you.
not just
Look up.
civilizations' names.
Look up again for the chain between Darius fighting against the Greeks. That's one.
So let's
Darius
Google
fighting Spartans.
when did Darius fight the Greeks? Oh, turns out that that's after 2,500 years ago, not before 2,500 years ago. We need dates about stuff before 2,500 years ago. I agree that we can get dates to fairly good accuracy up until 2,500 years ago.
I'm gonna start there. Obviously, Darius was birthed, and before that, right? So we look at how many people.
Okay, what year was Darius born?
When did that say? It tells you. It tells you, right?
What tells
Just
me?
How many years? That year would tell you. The fight would tell you. The war would tell you.
The
his
war
life-
would tell me when his birth was.
It would tell you, give you information about a human lifespan, right? And then you can track.
So he was born sometime around 550 BC, but because it says sometime, it says sometime around 550 BC because we don't know.
That's good enough.
It's good enough. So wait a minute, you're relying on good enough, and you're not okay using things like science?
No, we don't need carbon dating. All we need is to corroborate that with other civilizations that talk about him, that talk about his historicity, that talk about
Darius definitely existed, but we don't have records of when he was born, for example.
We can build a logical chain afterwards.
You keep saying we can. Can you do it?
Yes, I just.
Okay,
did.
then do it.
Again,
You
before
gave me one guy's birthday, which isn't even known.
I'm pretty sure the Medes and the Persians chronicled between Darius all the way back to Cyrus.
We don't have
And then-
dates for these people. No, we don't.
We don't need dates. We need a chain of human beings. That's all. And based on a generation.
And how long did these human beings live?
80
Oh
years.
well,
Give them max
good
80
question.
years. Yeah, give them an 80-year span. That's
Oh,
good
okay,
enough.
so we're just doing good enough now.
Yeah. We don't.
And
I'm not telling you.
so
the exact
good
date
enough.
Earth
Good
was
enough is
born.
fine, but like we can't use science, is what you're telling me.
No,
You'd rather just have good enough than actually use
13
science.
13 billion is idiotic. That's why.
13
See,
billion
this
is idiotic, but
yeah.
give it about 80 years per person. That's probably fine.
Yeah, that's more reasonable. And then the other thing is science has already moved on. That's what the main
So
point I
should
was
we?
trying to make.
By the way, are we supposed to look at the? So we're supposed to trust like the Sumerian records, right? For like the reigns of kings.
No, I told you that earliest evidence of a human civilization is around that Mesopotamia region.
Yeah, like Sumer, right? That's Sumeria. And so we're supposed to, and so you're saying that we should look at the, this person reigned, and then that person reigned, and then this person reigned, to try to build a history going back, right? Okay. Did you know that there is such, like, are you familiar with the Sumerian king list? Is this something that you're aware of?
Yeah, I'm familiar. Okay. I mean, I know the gist of it.
Okay. So, who was the first king on the Sumerian king list?
I don't know, Gilgamesh?
No, it was Alalim. Do you know how long Alalim reigned? According to the Sumerian king list.
Okay.
Do you know? 28,800 years.
No, that's not. I'm literally not talking about what they wrote. I'm talking about...
Oh, I thought that you were talking about the list of what they wrote for how long they reigned. Because how else are we supposed to know for how long they reigned?
Finding out, you can corroborate it with other people that talk about him during that time. That's all. That's good enough to pinpoint where he lived in that time frame in our.
So wait a minute, are you telling me? So how are we corroborating if it's true, and it is fairly true that the earliest written records that we have are from Sumeria? If that's true, how do we corroborate the earliest written records with other people if nobody else was writing anything yet?
Nobody else was writing it. They were writing it. I think.
No, they weren't writing it because Sumeria was the first people's writing.
Yeah, sure.
So there was no one else to corroborate with.
Yeah, because Abraham was getting out of Sumeria going to whatever. But
bro, Sumeria's stuff predates Abraham.
Exactly. Abraham was coming out of Sumeria.
So these king lists, this list of kings that you're suggesting goes back 6,000 years or 5,500 years or whatever. The only people who were writing were Sumeria. That's what the earliest written record. That's what the earliest written records say. So you can't compare it with anybody else.
Regardless, that's the best evidence you have for time.
Okay, so to be clear, if we are going to trust the Sumerian king list, if we're going to trust the Sumerian king list, then we just have to go back, I don't know, 100,000 years or so. So you agree based off the Sumerian king. So you agree based off the Sumerian king list that the Earth is at least 100,000 years old, right?
No, I'm not talking about the Sumerian.
But it's historical.
Why are you just?
But this is the written record from the Sumerians.
That's literally the straw manning.
It's not. You're literally relying on the Sumerian written records, and I'm giving you Sumerian written records.
Or just straw manning, because I'm not doing both.
So you're not relying on the historicity of the Sumerian written records?
No, I'm not relying on the historicity of what they wrote.
Okay, so then what are you relying on? Where are you getting information from?
What they wrote.
There's nothing that corroborates anything older than
archaeological evidence.
Oh, right? How do you figure out? I'm sorry. How do you figure out that archaeological evidence is corroborating your history?
Again, logical chain. We don't need your time.
Logical chain. How are you logically chaining these things together if you can't pin down a date?
This thing was built over this thing. This thing was built over this thing. This thing was built over this thing. That chain goes back. You dig, and then you dig to the beginning of that building.
Wait, are you telling me that older things are below younger things?
No, that's just to give a logical chain analogy for your primitive brain. But that's what I'm trying to do. Because there is still, even if I'm wrong, I told you, the other option is not to go to your physics, this Big Bang analogy of time.
If you're right, then that means that the Earth is 100,000 years old because the Sumerian king list says it is.
No, it's still there is nothing that pulls it back to 13 billion years, and it's this ridiculous understanding.
Look, you can keep trying to pivot away from your weird epistemology that somehow gets you to 6,000 years, but not 100,000 years.
That is so
but I'm not going to let you pivot.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to let you pivot.
I've already made my point.
Your point is that we can rely on the written records of the Sumerians, except we can't rely on the written records of the Sumerians. So you're contradicting yourself.
Even if I am wrong, we're not gonna go back to your physics because your description of time, your
That's cool.
background,
I know you want to attack
have,
physics
it's
really,
stupid.
really badly. I know how badly you
I'm
want to attack
sorry.
physics.
I'm sorry, your
So
background. I know
so
your
we can talk
physics.
about physics as long as you admit that you're wrong about the Earth being 6,000 years old, according to the Sumerians.
We're not going back to your physics time either. Like that's the point.
So
you asked me,
so will you
how
admit that
big-
according to the Sumerians, the Earth is not 6,000 years old?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I
Well,
said. I
so
said
do you
just
agree? Do you agree that according to the Sumerians, the Earth is not 6,000 years old?
The Greeks probably thought they were a billion years old too.
Well, I'm
Again,
talking
like,
about the Sumerian written records,
strawmanning.
talking about the king,
strawmanning.
the list of kings, right?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe the Greeks thought like.
We're not talking about the Greeks. The Greeks didn't exist when the Sumerians did.
No, I'm just saying they probably have it in their records that they've been ruling for thousands of years as well. So that's not the point. You're strong.
Okay, so we can't trust the historical record, is what you're telling me?
No, I'm not. I never said historical record. You're gonna.
Oh, okay. So then,
corroborate that.
so then, what's
You're gonna
so where are you getting the
corroborate-
historicity from, if not the historical record?
You're going to corroborate with other histories, with other historical events, figures that.
What
that
other
man in
historical
that
events
time-
are written down about prior to 4,000 years ago?
Listen, even the way the Bible dates, the way the Bible dates history is by telling you in the year of King
What historical events were
Wait,
pinned
you have to
down
let
more
me
than
finish.
4,000 years ago?
You have to let me finish. You have to let me finish. I'm not trying to overtalk you. Even the way the Bible dates history is by telling you who was reigning during that event, right? During
That's what the Sumerians did too, and the Sumerians have
Yeah,
kings
that's
going
all
back
we do.
100,000 years.
And then we just match those events, right? Those events
Yeah, but-
with each other. to
Sure,
try
but
to
the Bible
pinpoint
only goes back 4,000 years.
According to the cycle.
Not even, like 3,400 years, really.
Yeah. So again,
So it only goes back 3,400 years, really.
Yeah, the best.
Or, sorry, about 3,800 years, I should say.
Wait. The best crisp evidence is the chain will probably go back to, like you said, around that time.
About
And then after
3,800
that-
years ago.
Yeah, and then it gets a little bit murky, and obviously, like it gets very murky.
But for some
Even 3,000
reason, you trust the murky biblical thing, even though nothing prior to
I'm not-
Sorry, let me finish. Nothing prior to around 3,000 years ago can be archaeologically or otherwise corroborated in the Bible. But for some reason, you believe that the accounts go back further than that, even though nothing in them can be corroborated. And yet, despite the fact that the
Bible
Sumerian
says it.
king list,
The Bible
despite
says it.
please don't cut me off. Despite the fact that the Sumerian king list also goes back, well, in this case, hundreds of thousands of years, even though it's not corroborated, for some reason you don't believe that. That seems like you're just being inconsistent. Would you care to address the inconsistency allegations?
Again, the reason you trust the Bible is because even after the 3,500 year, even after that, its historicity is very well intact.
No, it's about 3,000 years ago before it stops being corroborated.
You muted me.
Sure.
You muted me. Let me finish. So after the 3,500 line, right? Even the afterwards, the events that happen afterwards are chronicled very well. So you can, and that corroborates with the known history very well, establishing the historic validity of the Bible. So if you believe, if it has a very apt description of that time frame, I think it's very wise to entertain what happened before it. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is that
Hold on. I'm going to address what you say. You're not just going to say something dumb and then pivot, right?
No,
Look,
it was very
so
coherent.
just that way, then we can get the timeline agreed upon. Up until around, there are events described in the Hebrew Bible that can be corroborated to about 2,800, maybe 3,000 years ago, right? That's about as far back as like the Hebrew Bible events can be corroborated that we have like external sources for. Specifically, there's in the Hebrew Bible, there's descriptions of a King David, and about 2,800 years ago, we have writing of a house of David. So that at least indicates that something in the Bible was accurate around 2,800, maybe 3,000 years ago. But anything before that, anything about the Exodus, anything about Abraham, none of that can be corroborated by any other historical sources. So why do you trust that part of the Bible?
Again, even a little bit before that, the ancient previous history before David of Israel is evident by how the Canaanites talked about them and how other people around them talked about the Hebrews. They actually talked about them in a very specific way, and you can tell that these people existed in that region, and that is verified by a lot of historians. Now, another thing that I want to say.
Hold on, no, don't change topics. We're talking about that. We're not done talking about this.
I'm the reason you even go before David is because the fact of the chronicles after David are very coherent with their time frame, with the people in that time frame. So even after David, even at the fall of the Hebrews,
everything after David, yeah, it's at least reasonably accurate. By the way, I just googled it. But that's after David. That's after David, not before. No, you listen. The very earliest non-biblical historical record of just even mentioning the Hebrews is called the Merneptah Stele, which is 1200 or 1208 BC. So what that means, and this isn't mentioning anything, this isn't corroborating anything in the Bible, it's just mentioning that there is a group of people called Israel that existed. That has nothing to do, that doesn't corroborate anything that's actually mentioned in the Bible, it just mentions that they exist at all. So the very earliest that you could hope to have any sort of corroboration is 1200 BC. Now, that doesn't actually agree with anything, that doesn't corroborate anything in the Bible, it just mentions that there was this group of people that go back that far. So yeah, about 3,000 years ago is the earliest that we can corroborate anything from the Bible. Anything else is completely uncorroborated.
Yeah, and then if we go even that's sort of good enough.
It's not, because you trust the rest of the Bible.
You're cutting me off again. If you get to that point, and then if you say, oh, if it actually gives good corroborative history, even after the fact, right? For after David and whatnot, all the way to Jesus, right? And it's a 1,000-year gap. And if you study that gap very well, and if it gives a very good description of that time, I think that itself is good enough pull for you to consider the 6,000-year creation. That's all I'm saying.
So it's your claim that because they got the history right during the time it was being written at, that means that they're going to get the history right beforehand?
It's probably the only religious document that has the history right for that time frame.
That's because it was written during that time frame.
Wait, not Islam, not.
It was written during that time frame. What are you talking? No. Of course, they're going to get the history right.
Why would they lie? Again, that is good enough evidence.
They weren't lying. They were telling stories that they believed were true. That doesn't make them. That doesn't make them true.
If they were writing accurate historic descriptions,
they weren't. No, they weren't writing accurate history. They were writing current events.
Listen, you know what happened.
They weren't writing history. You understand this, right?
No, they were writing.
They were writing current events.
Have you read any of the historical Old Testament books?
Yes.
Like the Kings, the Chronicles?
Yes, I've read it all.
Some of it is just plain history. It's just
the historical stuff is either based on other. Hold on. To be clear, there are parts of the Bible that read as history, parts of the Hebrew Bible that read as history, and so when that's the case, you can figure out it's one of these two options. It's either a retelling of history or a retelling of current events that were written earlier, which is fine because if you have access to the earlier records of the current events, then you can retell them as history, or they're just made up.
Again, my point still stands, right?
Your point doesn't stand on anything. It stands on nothing.
Even if I am wrong, right? Even if all of what I have said about the human historicity is wrong.
We grant that.
Right? We are not going to go back to your dumbass 13 billion years, like whatever, because that also has.
Okay, so we agree that you're wrong. We agree that the Bible is not a reliable way of coming to the truth about the age of the Earth because it can't be corroborated anything earlier than around 3,000 years ago. I'm glad that we agree on this.
Too many disingenuous straw manning. That's not, again,
Every time I call you out for not being able to support the argument, you say, well, even if I'm wrong, this other thing is wrong too.
Because
It's not how that works.
The point is, we're not going to rely on your evidence of time. This is the best evidence of time that we have. That's the point.
So your best evidence of time is no evidence at all?
No, the best evidence of time is human civilization, recorded history.
But you don't know how far back history goes.
Written by humans. That's the best one.
Right. The chain of events written by humans that's uncorroborated is what you're telling me. That's what you're relying on.
No, it's the best chain.
Okay, can you name me one event that was written about in I don't know, 5,000 years ago that was corroborated?
Sorry?
Can you give me one event that happened 5,000 years ago that was corroborated?
5,000 years ago. Again, human history. Okay.
A single event that's written about by more than one civilization.
Let me think. Okay. Now I've pulled you enough to the 5,000 year line, which is good enough, right?
I'm just going. I mean, I could say 5,500 years, and you'll flounder just as much. I just chose a date that you think exists, but you can't corroborate definitively.
Now, after 4,000 and after civilization, right? Because people during civilization write about each other and the culture and the cities that they live in. So if you pull that curtain back, and then if you go into the 5,000 or whatever, that is where it gets incredibly murky, right? Even incredibly mystic. Wait, you're muted.
Sorry, is there any corroborated account? Can you give me one?
It gets what the Bible says about that time period, the beginning 1,000 years, is so mystic, right? People living for 1,000 years.
Okay, so it sounds like you're telling me no, you cannot give me a corroborated account.
Wait. Angels roaming around, right? That's what it tells you. The Bible is incredibly, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Look, so your standard for when you trust, and look, I'm just trying to hold you to the same standard phase. The reason why you rejected the Sumerian kings list is because you couldn't find anything to corroborate it, because it's not corroborated by archaeology, it's not corroborated by other civilizations. Fine, that's a totally good that's a totally, please, I'm in the middle of talking. That's a totally good reason to reject the Sumerian king list. However, I then ask you to give me an example of a corroborated event that took place 5,000 years ago, because look, you think that you can rely on some of these sources to tell you something about 5,000 years ago. Okay, so what's the corroborated event from 5,000 years ago? Where's the writing for it? The writing or the archaeological evidence? Yeah.
Gilgamesh.
Okay, so Gilgamesh is one source. What corroborates Gilgamesh?
I think he's pretty much in every folklore and ancient civilization everywhere. Pretty much everywhere.
What corroborates Gilgamesh that says that he existed?
He's pretty much everywhere. Like, he's this giant that just ruled everybody, and everybody talked about him and depicting them.
Wait, do you think that Gilgamesh was real?
Yeah. Nimrod.
Well, Gilgamesh is Gilgamesh, so you think that Gilgamesh was real then?
Yeah, probably.
Do you think that the things described in the Epic of Gilgamesh are true?
No, I think he's real. That's the point.
Oh, okay. So then how can you trust that he's real if the things described in the Epic of Gilgamesh are false?
Like I said, it's the same way a lot of people say Jesus is real, but I don't believe the miracles, right? It's the same way. He's probably a real person.
Okay, but look, if he's a real person, then you should be able to find stuff that corroborates his actual existence, not just everywhere. A mythological story.
No. He is everywhere. The corroboration of him existing is written in every folklore, even in archaeology.
Can you give me another example? And by the way, I agree. Gilgamesh probably existed. However, the unfortunate thing is that Gilgamesh ruled sometime after 5,000 years ago. It wasn't 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's around 4,000, between 4,000
4,500 years ago or so. So, can you give me something from 5,000 years ago? Because you think that you can come to conclusions about what happened 5,000 years ago, right?
Let me tell you who Gilgamesh is in the Bible. Nimrod is literally one of the first characters after Noah's flood. Okay, after Noah's flood, he's literally the same. He's Nimrod in the Bible, Gilgamesh in every other in Western, and he has weird other names in every other civilization.
Okay, so how can you tell that they're the same?
because they're talking about like a guy that is powerful and blah blah blah, and they depict him as a strong giant. That
yes, there's only ever been one strong giant depicted in mythology.
No. He is. I'm just saying there is a very similar depictions of him and his story, very similar. Okay, very similar. Now, before that is basically Noah's flood. If I pulled you back all the way to Nimrod, right? Before that is Noah's flood.
By the way, to be clear, Noah's flood is supposed to have happened 4,000 years ago if you trust the biblical cosmology.
Yeah, around
right. So I'm asking for something from 5,000 years ago, which you claim that you have corroborated evidence for, right?
Yeah, Noah's flood is probably
that wasn't 5,000 years ago.
Wait. Noah's flood, another logical chain.
Noah's flood wasn't 5,000 years ago. Even if you trust the Bible, it wasn't 5,000 years ago. It was like 4,000. Yeah. So that doesn't get you back 5,000 years.
No, if we have to pass the 4,500
By
year
the way,
mark.
just to be clear, the flood didn't happen. Like that's made up. There's no evidence that it happened in real life.
Oh, there is. I was just gonna give you one.
No, there's not.
Wait, let me tell you what creationists say. One of the evidences that I find interesting is that how you find on the outskirts of, let's say, South America, right? Like Brazil and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the same species that have the same, in the same family as on the outskirts of West Africa, because it's like a jigsaw puzzle, the Pangea, whatever, right? The Pangea logical chain still stands.
Oh, so you agree that Pangea existed?
Right? Yeah, Pangea was the pre-Diluvian world.
Yeah. Okay, so you agree that Pangea, like millions of years ago, existed, right?
No, Pangea existed before Noah's time.
Oh, okay. So how do you think that they got so separated? Why is South America separate from Africa?
Well, the science of it we're finding out, right? The science. I'm not. The science.
Oh, I mean, we already know, right? If we're relying on the science here, we already know the answer. We know how they separated.
No, geology wants to give you this very slow whatever. It was rapid.
Yeah, but what's the evidence of that?
Again, because the reason.
What's the evidence of that?
Wait. The reason why they say the reason why they say it's slow is a logical chain. Again, it's a logical chain.
What's the evidence that what's the evidence that it was fast? Because there's plenty of evidence that it's slow.
No, I'm saying the logical chain is just fast. That's all. That's just
okay. So there's no evidence for it, is what you're telling me.
Because we don't have human civilization. Exactly.
Okay, so to be clear, you don't have any evidence that Pangea existed, I guess. You don't have any evidence that that South America splitting from Africa was a fast split.
Evidence.
What's the geological? Okay, so right, I agree, but you don't trust the geological evidence, so like that's irrelevant. You can't use that.
The logical chain, right? The logical chain still stands.
You don't have a logical chain.
Whatever the geologists find out about the slow drifting away, right? That this happened and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened. That thing happened within a span of 40 days and 40 nights during Noah.
Oh, what's the evidence of that?
The evidence of that is, the evidence of what? The logical chain?
That the 40 days and 40 nights of rain happened at all.
No, the split?
No, that the flood happened. What's the evidence that the flood happened?
The flood happened. Well, you don't think the split happened?
I'm not talking about the split. I'm talking about the flood. What's the evidence that the flood happened?
Well, the flood happened because there's a water between East Africa.
So to be clear, your argument is circular. So your argument is, well, we know that.
I just told you. You asked me what's the evidence of the flood happening.
Don't worry. We're gonna go over the circle. So your evidence.
Not a circle.
It is. We're gonna go over it. 1 sec. So your evidence that the flood happened is because Africa and South America are split from each other. That's where the water came from. And then your evidence, your evidence that the splitting between Africa and South America happened quickly is, well, the evidence is just that the flood happened. This is the logical chain. You go from the flood happened to the split between them took 40 days. And then you go from there exists a split between them to the flood happened. That's the circle.
No. Let me start. Let me start. The chain is that there was one continent, one land body, and then there was a slow drifting away, right, which is filled up with water. Okay, that's it. Whatever. Wait. Whatever evidence that we find about the plates or the drifting away, that evidence is just going to show you how it happened logically, right? But it doesn't tell you how fast. It just tells you this.
Oh, it can tell you how fast.
Wait. It tells you.
It can tell you how fast.
Away happened. It tells.
So
you
then,
the
how do you
drifting
know
away
that? How do you know that drifting? How do you know that water that filled it in was caused by the flood?
If you bring up a geologist, they will tell you that.
How do you know? How do you know the amount of? How do you know that the water that filled it up was because of the flood?
The water that filled it up because of the flood? Well, the first thing that we're going to talk about, if we're assuming that, okay, the first earth in the Bible, right, the biblical earth, is probably one huge land mass encircled with water. That's probably what it was.
So is your evidence that the water that filled it up was because of the flood the Bible?
Well, I'm just going to tell you what the Bible says first, right?
Is that your, well, because the question is how do we know the flood happened?
You're the one that has a 13 billion years logical chain in your background.
You really want to pivot to that so badly.
No, it's because I can cook you on that.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. But I'm not going to let you pivot. So I'm not going to let you pivot. So that's fine.
We're still not going to. We are still, even if I am wrong, we're still not going to go back to. We're not going to go back to your
Well, I mean, you might not because you're stuck in an Iron Age. I understand that. You might not go back to like the scientific consensus because you're stuck in an Iron Age mythology, but the rest of the world will.
I can bring up so many people. It's not a consensus at this point. You got to stop lying and spewing misinformation. It's not a consensus. Okay, because science has moved on from this Big Bang insanity.
By the way, I called it the Iron Age consensus. I was talking about your beliefs.
No, I would give you.
What's the evidence that the flood happened? I'm still waiting on that.
The evidence of the flood happening is the fact that the fact that there was a land mass that was once together, now separated with huge.
That's not evidence of a flood, though.
I think we're trying. Scientifically speaking, we are connecting the dots, the logical chain, right?
Well, you're doing it poorly then, because that's not evidence of a flood.
It's still we still haven't found out, like, the exact. Even if, okay.
Because you understand that oceans will naturally fill in continents that are separating away from each other, even absent a flood, and especially if this takes place over a very, very long period of time.
No, you have to presume a lot of things, like the water bodies, like the way the Bible describes it is that there was water even beneath.
Yeah, you have to assume a lot. Right? I agree.
No, the way the Bible describes it, the pre-Diluvian world is absolutely mystic, right? People living for 1,000 years, angels and whatnot. This is like, and
clearly clearly there's tons of evidence of this, right?
No, I'm talking about the pre-Diluvian world is insane. I agree with you.
And there's no evidence for any of it.
Adam living for 1,000 years, right? But there is some hints of that pre-Diluvian world in Pangea, in like, huge structures, huge trees that we see, like the ones in like California, whatever. Like there's a lot of evidences that we have.
What huge structures? What huge trees?
I'm talking about the trees that I forgot their names.
Like the redwoods?
The big tree. Yeah, I think the redwoods or like those things. Like
you mean the ones that are still alive now?
No,
the sequoias.
We have evidence of giant things existing, right?
Oh, you're talking about Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
You think that? Oh, you're not talking about Devil's Tower. Okay, so then what are you talking about?
Well, it could be a tree. I don't know.
No, Devil's Tower couldn't be a tree. Cell walls are not hexagonal. Cell walls are rectangular.
I mean, it could be. My thing is, it could be because We don't know so much. We only know so much about Earth and how it's configured. We don't know. Okay.
I mean, we know a good amount. It's just you
But the
disregard
best-
basically all of the science.
the best science we have right now can pull us back to about 5,000 years, and we can.
Oh
stop
no,
and
that's
know
not true at all. That's not true at all. In fact, like
No,
the
no,
best science that we have takes the Earth back 4.5 billion years.
No, you're again. I told you your physics nonsense is bullshit. Because
I'm sure it is.
the unitary.
But like don't pretend that you're using science here. You're just using the Bible.
No. I literally told you what science I'm using, which is the unitary evolution of time.
Yeah, we can pivot here. That's fine. That's fine if you want.
No, we can talk about the unitary evolution of time.
Can you tell me what unitary means?
Real time exists. Sorry?
Can you tell me what unitary means?
Unitary, oneness.
No, that's not what it means.
Union.
No. It's not what it means. At least not in the context of physics. Like maybe in the context of metaphysics or whatever. But when you're talking about unitary time evolution, it means something very specific, and that's not what it means.
No, it means how a quantum phase evolves within a single.
Tell me what a unitary time evolution is, please. What is the word unitary doing in that phrase?
That equation is describing a quantum.
It's not an equation.
System. Well, it's an equation. There is an equation to it as well.
There is, but we're not talking about the equation. Tell me what the word unitary is doing in the phrase unitary time evolution.
It's a union of a quantum space. Wait. It's a union of a quantum space and a quantum time, right? Like that is what the union.
No, unitary has nothing to do with union.
No, it's not. No, it's one description of the system. That's all.
No, it's not. That's not what unitary means.
Okay, you can explain it instead of
so a unitary transformation, which is what the unitary time evolution is. It's a type of linear transformation. A unitary transformation is any transformation whose complex conjugate is the inverse of the transformation. Watch him say exactly.
No, like what do you can I've seen this described in a very easy way, which is it describes a system before and how the system evolves after.
Yeah, technically complex conjugate transpose, but but complex conjugate is the more mathematical description.
Why do you have to say all that nonsense? You're on TikTok.
Because that's what the word unitary means in that context.
Science communicator. You have to simplify things.
That's what the word unitary means in that context.
No, again, it's just telling you.
It's what the word means, and you don't know what it means. So, like, the fact that you don't even know what that means is just an admission that you don't know what you're talking about. So why should anybody trust anything you have to say about quantum mechanics if you don't even know what a unitary transformation is?
It's telling you a system's evolution, right? That's all.
That's the unitary isn't doing any of that.
Sorry?
Unitary isn't involved, like unitary isn't telling you anything about the evolution. It's telling you about what the evolution operator looks like.
Oh yeah, you're talking about how the operator like coalesces into this like one evolution. That's not what unitary that's not what unitary means. Unitary doesn't have anything to do with oneness in this context. No, I'm not talking about oneness. It's just telling you that how time evolves in a quantum system. That's all. That's it. Like
that's what time evolution means. You just rephrased what time evolution means.
No.
You said time evolution means it's how things evolve in time.
There's a system before and there's a system afterwards. That's it.
That's the time evolution part, not the unitary part.
No, the unitary time evolution tells you that is how time operates.
No, any time evolution operator does that. Unitary doesn't say it. Unitary doesn't have anything to do with time evolution. Unitary is a property of a very specific kind of transformation.
It's because of our primitive understanding of what time is. We have to use time. We have
Phase,
to use one.
I'm sorry. It's not our. Stop saying our. Our primitive understanding. It's yours. You don't know what a unitary. You don't know what a unitary time evolution operator is.
Your primitive understanding of time is that there is something that exists and there's something that will exist. That is how because you needed to describe a system prior and afterwards. And you said evolve, okay? The evolve is where you're wrong. That does not happen in
atemporal, non-spatial world. You're literally you're spreading misinformation. Science has already moved on from this
So
nonsense.
Phase Bro,
Okay, the Big Bang never happened.
Phase Bro,
This
I
13
don't think
billion years-
I don't think you know what
trying to
unitary
be-
time
we're
evolution is.
trying
I
to
don't
be-
think
we're
that
trying to
you
be a
understand
13
how quantum
billion
mechanics plays well with general relativity.
Trying to be this 13 billion
I think that
years
this is a little bit of a
gospel
struggle
preacher.
for you. Look, do you want to go ahead and explain, I don't know, explain what emergent time is for the class?
Emergent time is how that system coarse grains on what we know about cyclical time and cyclical frequencies. That's what.
Oh,
that's what.
That was word salad. That was nothing. That was not even wrong.
That's not word salad.
What's that phrase from? What? It's not from Happy Gilmore. One sec, I have to go find something to read to you because it's extra appropriate. It's from Billy Madison, not Happy Gilmore. What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, like you can't even come up with your own code. That's how lame you are.
It's a brilliant quote from Billy Madison. Sorry.
Yeah, you have to regurgitate an already explained science and already explained quote and whatever. Like you need to move on from where we're at and actually use up how advanced we are in how we understand reality and use that, right? Let science tell you about your ontology. Don't do the reverse. Science already moved on from your understanding of what time is.
Yes, surely, Phase Bro, you know more about science than I do. Surely.
Well, I'm not. I could. Why not? Why are you?
I mean, apparently not.
No, if I just told you.
You don't even know what a unitary matrix is.
I just told you how emergent time is.
Well, you tried to, but you failed.
Okay, let me try again. Okay, you have let's say a primordial soup, right? And how that primordial soup coarse grains and forgets, right? And then imprints a new characteristics. That is time. It's just a logical chain. Okay, it's just a logical chain. There was a before, and there was a before after. The before is not a before, and the after is not an after. Both of them exist in this soupy nature. Okay.
Sorry, that was wrong on so many levels.
What is emergent time according to you? I believe you've written a IDEA CFT doctoral dissertation. So, what is it?
Yeah, so emergent time is one amongst many popular ideas wherein you typically have a timeless state. This would be something that has a Euclidean signature, and through the use of something like a clock field or through the use of some sort of holographic phenomenon, in the case of DS CFT holography, you get an emergent clock field, and that clock field, due to its correlations with the other matter fields present, gives rise to a Lagrangian that looks a lot like the Lagrangian of a field that exists in 3+1 space-time dimensions. That's what emergent time is.
You literally said what I said.
You said none of those words.
No, I said holographic and shit like that. Like I literally said the same thing.
You literally said none of those words.
Do we agree that there's something deep that we don't understand about time? Do we agree?
I agree that there's something deep that you don't understand about time.
No, I do. I actually have the theory of everything for everybody who wants to follow me. I have it, but I want to.
The troll's over. The troll's over. Definitely going on YouTube though. Definitely going on YouTube though. I don't think that was Mike Brigandy, by the way. Otherwise, he kept the accent really, really on point for a long time. Let's read some super chats, and then we will move on to the next chat, or next conversation. From Simeon Urchin with the $5. Thank you so much. Mornin', how do you feel about the Commander ban list? I'm glad Lutri finally got unbanned and banned as companion. I thought Emrakul would be unbanned too. I don't really care about any of the announcements that they made are completely irrelevant to me. I just, okay, Lutri got unbanned and Biorhythm got, I just don't care. It's like, whatever. Those cards weren't on my radar anyway. From Tim Davidson with the $5. How do you know the age of archaeology stuff? Check the label. Duh. True. Absolutely true. You did make it onto YouTube, Phase Bro. Absolutely, you're going on YouTube. 100%. From Binary Ghosts with the $5. Everything was created 6,000 years ago, but everything was pre-aged longer than that as a joke, or maybe things just needed to work that way, I guess. Yep, that's the answer. From Binary Ghosts again with the $5. Thank you so much. 28,800 years is a good run. A lot of Roman emperors barely got like 2 decades before they were out. They just don't build kings like they used to. I know, those Sumerian kings, they really had it going for them. From Dr. Fudge with the $10. That's so generous. Blitz, you absolute mug, have you never truly considered the possibility, the slightest chance that perhaps nuh-uh? You know what? You got me there. You got me there. I've been had. Dr. Fudge again with the $2. Actually, it's my physics, not yours. Give it back. No, it's mine. From Gretchen with the $3. Even if I'm wrong, you'll never be right, Blitz. I know, he really wanted to talk about the quantum stuff, the Big Bang stuff. From Brian Peck with the $2, the history is inaccurate, i.e. the fall of Jericho. Yeah, that's true. The fall of Jericho is actually mentioned, right? It's mentioned in the Bible, and Jericho just never fell, right? Like, it's just not true that Jericho ever fell, I think. I'd have to double check on that. From Sonopeak with the 25 AED, I don't know what that is. That is United Arab. Oh, that's UAE or UAE dirhams. Thank you so much, Sonopeak. My church told me the universe started 13.8 billion years ago. Were they lying to me? Is the universe really 13.79 billion years old? Yes, they were lying. No. This live stream is specifically about those people for whom their church has lied to them, right? If your church was telling you that it was 13.8 billion years old, then, you know, your church is good in my book. And from Tim Davidson with the $5, apparently the Noah's flood was just the tsunami caused by Pangea splitting into the known map over the course of a month. Yeah, apparently. It checks out. Rivera Trackrunner with the $2. Does his god have ligma? Prove me wrong. No, his god does have sugma, though. From Tim Davidson again with the $5. It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. What's Steve do? And Lilith? Justice for Lilith and Steve. Yeah, maybe Lilith and Steve can pair off. From Ekipo with the €2. Hello, Dr. Blitz. Grandmaster in pigeon chess. Look, I pride myself on being able to beat pigeons at chess. From Oceanius Helios with the $5. Caller, you can't do physics with words alone. You need to describe the universe with math. Grow up. Yep, that's how we do it. We use math. Math is the language of physics. Tim Welsh sends $2 to tell me about the word salad. Indeed, the word salad. Low Earth Surfer with the $5 says, Call sure knows how to toss word salad with his tongue. Careful. Careful. Then we have from T-Rom with the 2,000. Is this 2,000 yen? Which I think is like $13 if that is yen, or is that yuan? I think that's yen. Yeah, it's definitely yen, right? How can you stay in a conversation with someone who doesn't have the same level of intelligence? He is simplifying everything because he can't understand anything besides his personal experience or learn different opinions. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the generous donation, by the way. But second of all, I don't think that he was necessarily low intelligence. I think that he was just misled. From Nrock with the $5. Didn't know you played MTG. Very cool. I enjoy your caller session. Have you done any MTG content? No, I haven't done any MTG content. I'm not an MTG content creator. I just enjoy it. I've just been playing it for a while. And from Travisor with the last super chat. Does the primordial soup have a best used by date? Yeah, like probably. I think the best used by was like May 15th, 2012. Sorry about that. All right, let us make sure that I didn't miss anything on Cash App, and then we will move on to our next guest. Sorry, I'm just double checking something. Just double checking. Okay, let me make sure that there's nobody waiting in the Discord. Okay, there's nobody waiting in the Discord. Let's talk to Bohemian Coconuts. Bohemian, how's it going? Bohemian, can you hear me? Bohemian. Bohemian. All right, Bohemian's not here. All right, let's talk to DBQP. DBQP, how's it going?
Hey, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. DBQP, how old do you think the Earth is?
You know, I don't know offhand, but my rebuttal to you is this. They weren't lying. They were speaking out of sheer ignorance, which in and of it.
That checks out. But look, I'm interested in talking with people who think that the Earth is 6,000 years old or so. So, to move on to the next guest. Kyle, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Blitz?
I'm doing okay. Kyle, how old do you think the Earth is?
I would say it could be even older than 6,000 years. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
What
Do you think that it's older than a million years?
Potentially. I think that there's a lot of things to consider. When, how can I say this? When trying to understand how old the Earth is, one thing that everybody has to understand is that, you know, we're still constantly changing.
I can't hear you when you're off the app. All right. Looks like he's gone. Let's talk to Amanda. Amanda, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Amanda, how old do you think the Earth is?
Roughly 6,000 years old.
All right. Why do you think so?
Well, okay, just pretty simply, our entire world bases their, I guess, time off of BC and AD.
Well,
Now,
not the
why do
whole
you
world.
think that?
I mean, like there are places
they
that
do.
don't use. There are places where they don't use the Julian calendar.
Where?
Or sorry, the Gregorian calendar. I mean, in Israel they use the Hebrew calendar.
Yeah, but they still all use BC and AD, and it wasn't until the
No,
17th
the Hebrew
century
calendar
that they tried
doesn't. The Hebrew calendar doesn't use AC or AD and BC.
Okay, so I mean that's what, one area. The rest
Well, yeah,
of the
but you
world?
said everybody in the world, but like I just gave you an example of a place that doesn't, and there are other places that don't as well. Much of the world does, and that's in part because much of the world is run by the West, like the economic globalization was done by the West, and so like the West uses that, and so that's kind of the international calendar. That's the calendar that's used for communicating to other countries. But like that's just a historical
But if the Bible wasn't
coincidence,
real,
right?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I think that is God saying this is how time is. Like the Bible, and give me one thing that actually there's any evidence in the earth prior to Adam and Eve or even Noah, the flood, besides the supposed dinosaurs that lived. I mean, science tries to create all these
Wait,
like
so how long ago do you think the flood happened?
Like 4,000, no. Yeah, like
Okay, so there are trees older than that.
From Adam and Eve. What's that?
There are trees older than 4,000 years old.
Says who? The scientists that want to make everybody believe God's not real.
I mean, who would you trust to say that they're older than 4,000 years old then?
But I mean, how do you even prove that?
So trees have tree rings, right?
Okay.
You can just
Okay.
count the tree rings.
And you're telling me they're counting trees that are millions of years old.
No, I said
mean,
that there are
doesn't
trees.
even make sense.
No, I didn't say that. I said that there are trees that are more than 4,000 years old.
Okay, so if the world's been into being for 6,000 years, so yeah.
But how
there
long
might
ago
be
was the
trees
flood?
Older than 4,000.
How long ago was the
What's
flood?
that?
How long ago was the flood?
4,000.
So if there are
Give or take.
trees that
Well-
are older than 4,000 years old, how did they survive the flood?
Why would a tree not survive water?
What happens if you put a tree underwater? Do you think that it can survive?
I mean, there was a flood for 40 days. I do think if a tree is strong
Well,
enough,
to be
and the
clear,
roots are strong, like,
no, it rained for
it-
40 days. There was a flood for a year.
right. Okay.
And you know that trees have to
And-
breathe, right?
Okay, but what if there was trees tall enough that were higher than the flood? You
But
wouldn't
hold on,
need to
hold on.
wipe
We
out
kn- we-
humanity to have
we know
water
what the
up to the sky.
we know what the trees are. The trees that are very, very old. These are called Great Basin bristlecone pines.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not that tall. They're like medium sized. They can be like up to 50 feet tall or so. And the flood was supposed to have covered the highest mountains.
Okay.
Much taller than 50 feet, right?
Well, we can't say for certain trees didn't survive the flood. You just can't.
Well,
you can't
trees have to
without a
breathe,
doubt say
right?
that.
Trees have to breathe, and if they're underwater, they can't breathe. Trees
Okay,
need air.
Well, okay. I don't know what trees need or if they could
they
survive
need
or not
air.
survive the flood. But
I mean, you learned in middle school that trees
my
like
gosh,
breathe in carbon
actually, here
dioxide,
we
right?
go. When they put out the bird and the bird came back, every time it came back, they knew that it was still the flood was still too high. But then when it left the last time, it landed on something, and that was
Yeah, and that's when the tree.
branch?
Yeah. So the floodwaters were too high,
So there was a
and then only after the floodwaters lowered.
So there was a tree there.
There were only trees after the flood.
they lowered-
Right. Yeah. After the floodwaters
So did a
lowered.
tree grow
So the
back
trees-
in a year? They
Well,
grew back
so
that high in a year?
I hate to break it to you, but the people who are writing this story didn't know that trees needed to breathe back then.
So
they just thought the trees would have been fine. You're right. The simplest answer is the correct one, but these people made it up. Sure you can.
No.
Sure you can.
No, you can't. You can't say for certain that huge trees couldn't have survived
Sure you can.
like 40-day rains and a year of, we don't know how quickly that the flood started lowering.
So the flood lasted for a year.
Could have survived.
Trees can last
Yeah,
apparently.
but it started lowering
if
way quicker than that.
No, the flood,
started
like
going
Noah
away way
was in
quicker
his
than
boat
that.
for a year, right?
Right. That was until the water was completely diminished.
Until
Completely safe to
that
go
wa-
and walk out on. That doesn't mean
wait a
the
minute, hold on.
floodwaters were up past the trees for a year.
Hold on, careful. It wasn't that's how long until the water was like at the ground. That's how long it took until the dove could land on a tree, right?
Yeah.
That's when
Okay.
the end of the flood is marked. And so it took a
hold
year
on,
before
but
any trees were
but
revealed.
Hold on, if you don't even believe in the Bible, then you don't know it lasted for a year.
Well, look, it's called an internal critique.
There
So
could
what
have been a flood for.
It's called Amanda. It's called an internal critique. I'm criticizing. I'm showing a contradiction in your view.
And I'm showing a contradiction in your view because you're saying no trees could have lasted. When,
Yeah, and
if,
that's what
according
the
to you,
that's
Bible's
what the
not even
scientists
real,
say.
Then we don't know the flood lasted for a year.
So
The scientists
so look,
say
what
that
I'm
it
saying is
lasted for
that
a year.
no scientists say that. What I'm saying is that if
That's what I was
the Bible is true, then all of the trees should have been dead. But all of the trees weren't dead, so the Bible can't be true.
But see, you can't say that for certain. We don't know how long the trees were completely immersed in water. All the trees.
They were immersed
We
in
don't
water
know
for a
that.
year. That's why the dove couldn't find any tree branches to land on.
But we don't know that it was immersed so high that nothing could breathe.
They were
for a
on
year.
top. The water
know
was as
how-
high as the mountains, the highest mountains.
Okay.
Let me
but
show you
we
something.
don't know how long it started to retreat.
So look, the very first tree wasn't exposed until after a year. That's when the dove was able to find a tree to land on. So
Okay.
it took a
So
year
there
for
was
the
a
very
tree.
first tree to be exposed. Right. So here, let me show you something.
No.
So this is from a landscaping company. They know stuff about trees. In fact, very few species can tolerate more than 1 month of complete submersion.
Okay.
1 month,
And?
let alone a year.
Very few species. Okay.
These are species of
very
trees.
few species.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are species of trees. Some species, by the way, to be
very
clear,
few is not none.
So some species do live in the water, like under complete submersion. This is the thing. Bristlecone pines are not one of those. In fact, bristlecone pines are desert trees. They do not survive in deep water at all. And
So
these are the
you're
kinds of
saying there
trees
was
that.
no flood.
Yes, I'm saying there was no flood.
Okay, so that still doesn't answer my question whether there's a flood or not. I don't care whether you believe that, but give me evidence of life or any kind of like history that we have that was prior either the flood or Adam and Eve,
Yeah,
besides the so-called dinosaurs that were here for millions of years.
Are you familiar with Göbekli Tepe?
No.
Let me show you something really quick. Oops, that's not the right browser. One sec. Here it is. It's just a Wikipedia article. Trust it or not, but it's just a good summary. So Göbekli Tepe is a settlement that existed in eastern Turkey that at least was inhabited around 9,500 BCE. So almost 12,000 years ago, it was inhabited already.
But like, now how do they have the evidence that's how long ago it was? Like, why couldn't it been around like 6,000 to 7,000 years old? Why are they like, oh my gosh, wow, this is like 9,000, not 6,000.
Do you want to know? Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
So they use carbon dating. They use carbon dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they used science.
What else can they? What else? Science. But how do they?
Yeah, carbon dating is
tell
a scientific method.
A year or 1,000 or 2,000 years old. We don't know, and we don't know what our Earth.
Oh no, they can
between now and that time.
No. So carbon dating is like super accurate. It can get you down to like less than 100 years of like time frame as to when something was first used, when a piece of fabric was first used, or when a plant was killed, or things like that.
But what can they? How can they like figure that out when there was nobody testing that 6,000 years ago? They're making an assumption. They're saying, here's what's happened now between our lifetime, our span of these scientists that are like 30, 40 years old, but yet they can figure out how long something has been on the earth for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's nothing to compare it to.
So sure there is. In fact, trees are actually a really good example. You can look at trees, and we can figure out how old trees are by counting their tree rings, and we can compare that with what carbon dating says. And what you find is that you get the same answer. The oldest tree is the oldest confirmed tree is like 4,890 years or something like this. I just had it pulled up, but yeah, older than the flood, by the way.
So
sorry, to be clear, that's the oldest.
What, 80 years?
It's 4,960 years, 60 years old. But that's the oldest single tree, like the oldest tree that's just like a single sprouting body. But there are that's the oldest single tree with verified ages. There are single trees that are older that have more estimated ages. That perhaps are less reliable. About more than 5,000 years old. 5,484 is the highest estimated age for a living tree. And then there's even older.
Here we are on track with the 6,000 years now.
And then there's even older clonal trees. These are not single sprouting bodies, but these are multiple trees that are clones of each other. The most famous one is called Pando. It's in Fish Lake National Forest in Utah. That one is somewhere between 16,000, that one is at least 16,000 years old. There's also the Jerupa oak, the Jerupa oak, which is around 13,000 years old. And there's
now we just gotta take people's words for it, right? So
this is just how we can just do science for these. We can just do science for this.
Yeah. Right, so we're using someone else's science to know how old these trees are.
I mean, you're just taking somebody. You're just using somebody else's book to know how old the Earth is. So
but
I don't know if that's the standard you want to hold to.
Is the only true thing that we have. No, it is the standard, especially.
But the Bible gets a lot of things wrong.
You know what? I would agree with you 4 years ago, but I actually had an experience.
Did the Bible start
with
getting things right
Jesus.
4 years ago?
So now I know he's true. What?
Well, did the Bible start getting things right 4 years ago, or like is there some new development that proves that the Bible get things right?
No, I just didn't know God really existed.
Oh, but then what about all
the
what about like all of the things that, you know, the Bible gets wrong?
Like
for example, that you can have plants existing before the sun did, or that
what?
or that every time a virgin has sex, they bleed on the first time.
The Bible doesn't say that.
Or that stars fall. Yeah, it does. Or that stars can literally fall to the sky. It does. It's in Deuteronomy 22.
It says a virgin bleeds.
Yeah, it says the way to test to see if your wife.
Read that.
Yeah. It says that the way to test, and it's the whole chapter, but I'll summarize and then I'll read it. The way to test that your newlywed wife is a virgin is if she bled on the sheets, and if she didn't bleed on the sheets on your sex night, on your wedding night, then that means that she's not a virgin. That's what it says in Deuteronomy 22, and I'll read the verse now.
Okay, read that verse.
So this is Deuteronomy 22, starting at verse 13. Suppose a man marries. Let me actually, I'll just put it up really quick, and then we can read it together. Here it is. Here we go. Suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her, and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. The father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her, and now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity. But here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The cloth is the wedding sheet, by the way. The elders of that town shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. If, however, this charge is not true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found. I'm not done.
I get where you're going with it.
Then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. So that's the that's the law as to how you. Then. Oh no, but they didn't.
Maybe they. But
no, that's just not how humans work.
And most people do bleed. As
like 40%. 40%.
I don't know. I don't know, and I can't really describe that verse because I didn't live back then. But I do know that the Bible is real. Give me something else besides a virgin.
Yeah, so 42 to 50% of women only 42 to 50% of women experience bleeding during their first intercourse. So like they're just wrong about that, right?
Masturbate these days. You know?
Do you think that masturbation is going to
so much stuff?
Break a hymen?
It depends on what kind of masturbation they're doing.
Okay, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Let me find another one. So, do you think that that stars literally fall to the earth?
No, I don't. But I can't say one never has. But tell me that. Show me. Read this verse to me.
Yeah. Okay. So this is describing the coming of the Son of Man immediately after the suffering of the. This is Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the suffering of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven and the powers of heaven will be shaken. So are stars going to hit the earth?
You mean at the end of time?
Yeah, is that going to happen?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So like Earth will be all life on Earth will be completely obliterated. Nobody will be able to survive, right?
Yep, and there will be a new Jerusalem created, heaven and earth.
No, but everything will be dead. The Earth will be destroyed, right?
Heaven and earth.
There won't be an Earth.
Right. Heaven and earth.
Okay, so we agree that there won't be an Earth.
I agree, absolutely, 1000%.
Okay. Do you think that it's possible that the sun can just stand still in the middle of the sky?
I think God can do whatever
you think God can do things that are impossible? Got it.
They're impossible to us. He's God. He created the earth with words. He spoke it into existence. Like, don't you?
Do you think that the earth is flat?
One day, No,
Okay,
I don't
the
know,
Bible
and
says
I
it
don't
is.
even care.
The Bible says it is.
No, the Bible says there's a dome. That doesn't mean there's not
No,
a
the
dome
Bible
around
says
the
that it is.
circle.
The Bible says that it's like clay under a seal.
Okay.
The Bible says that the earth has corners.
It doesn't say it has corners.
Yeah, Job
It says it's
37:3.
No, it says it's a dome.
Job 37:3.
He speaks about the corners of the earth, meaning like north, south, east, west. Not that
Under
there's
the whole
little
heaven he lets it
corners.
choose, and his lightning to the corners, he lets it loose, and his lightning to the corners of the earth. So the earth has corners now?
Okay, I think you're reading that a little too literal, and if there is, and if it is, whatever the Bible says is absolutely true.
Oh, so
But
are
I
we supposed to
don't
read it
believe that's
literally or
what he
no?
means. He's saying north, south, east, or west. Yes, literally.
Oh, okay, so the earth literally has
there's a lot of
corners, because
people
north,
believe
south,
that
east, and
it's
west are not corners.
flat.
North, south, east, and west are not corners,
Right,
to be
but-
clear.
But he's okay, and he also says at in the end times that nobody will hide from his wrath, not in the corners, not in the mountain corners, meaning like anywhere you hide.
So it's not supposed to be read literally.
Maybe not the corners, but I can't say for
Oh, okay,
certain.
so
I've never
so
been
is the
to- I've never
Bible
been
is the
around
Bible
world.
right or not?
I've never
And
been
by the way,
around the world,
is
so I can't
is
tell
space
you
made
if
of
it's
water?
flat or circular.
Is space made of water?
Yeah.
Space is made of water, you think?
After you get past that part, yes, I do. I think heaven is above. He says he splits it in two. Yes. I know it's hard for us to understand. You're a very scientific man.
So like the videos that we
there's
have
so
of
much-
things in space is just like made up?
No, I think that there is a specific, like that, what does he call it? The in-between.
There's the
I
firmament,
forget
which
exactly.
separates the waters above
Yeah.
from the waters below, but that's not real.
Hello?
The
Yeah.
firmament is made
What
up.
do you mean
It's not real. It's fake.
Oh
It's
my
not a real
gosh,
thing.
listen,
There's no
one
firmament
day
separating the space
I'm
waters from the
truly-
ground waters.
But there is. There is.
Then
And I
how can we
really
get to
pray
space?
That you find out before. the
Amanda, how do we
world
get to space
goes
if
to
there's a
hell.
space?
I really do.
Amanda, how do we get to space if there's a barrier blocking us from getting to
So-
the space water?
Okay, what do you mean a barrier blocking us? I
That's
think
what the
it's
dome
above
is.
all that.
The dome is the space. The
I
dome
think it's
separates the
above
space
that.
water from the groundwater. No, see, the dome is the sky. I don't know if you know.
Right, I do know, but no, I think above that. Like I think it's higher than that, and I really,
Oh,
I
but the
truly
but
don't know. I wish I
the-
had all the answers, but I do believe there's water up there. And
but
whatever's
that's
in between,
it doesn't really work
space
though, because
and us,
unfortunately for you, Amanda,
not for
God
you.
says that he puts the lights in the dome of the sky. So the sun and the moon are in the dome.
I don't remember him saying it was
Genesis
in the dome.
1:15.
Okay.
Let them be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth. And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set
Okay,
them
but
in the
in the
dome of the
dome-
sure to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and night
All
and
right,
separate the
wait,
light from the
let me
darkness,
hold
etc.,
up
etc.
the- Let me stop you right there, though. In the dome, he's not saying it's in the waters above.
No, he's
It
saying
can
it's
still
in
be
the dome, which
that is
means so to be
Right,
clear,
like we
that means
are.
that it's
in
no,
the
but
dome, 'cause
but
we're
people
in the
have been to the
dome,
moon.
too.
But Amanda, people have been to the dome. People have been to the moon. The moon is in the dome.
But we are in the dome. We're in
Wait.
the dome too.
No, this is
So
not
why
below the
would that-
dome. This isn't below the dome. It's in the dome.
The dome is all around us, and then
We aren't in the
then
dome. We're below
above
the dome.
Is
No,
above
we're not in the dome. We're below the dome.
No, we're not. We're in the dome, which is why there is a dome, because it's separating the waters.
So the dome, and so God made the dome and separated the waters that were under the dome. That's the ocean.
Yeah.
From the waters that were above the
and
dome.
us.
That's space. So
Yes,
that
above
so that
the
means
dome,
that we're
exactly.
under the dome. We're not in the dome. We're under the dome. Under
We're
the dome.
in the dome. So,
No, we're
so
under
he
the waters are
separated
under
it,
the
so-
dome. You're doing some selective reading right
at
there.
at the bottom, no, because he's not saying that there's a dome between Earth and sky. We're a
Yeah.
part of that dome. Like, think about
Yeah,
it,
he
like
is.
a globe. I want you to think about a globe. No,
That's exactly
when
what
you
he's
have-
saying.
You shake it up, you have the snow, that's all in there, and then you have whatever
Yeah, it's called a snow
scenery
globe,
they
not a
put
snow
in there,
dome.
and it's on, right, but above, but that is the shape of a dome. But above the dome, that is outside of the circle, is where the water would be.
So the star.
How
So
hard is that?
look.
So
In
you
fact,
would
we can
say,
actually
oh, the
look. I
snowman
can
is
clarify this for you if you
below
want.
the dome.
I can clarify this for you because
What?
there's verses about this, about what the dome is. And I think it's in Job. Yeah, sorry, it's in Ezekiel. So here, let me show you. Let's just read together. This is Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 22 through 26. Over the heads of the living creatures, there is something like a dome, shining like crystal spread out above their heads. Under the dome, their wings were stretched out straight, one toward another, and each of the... Okay, so this is about like wings and stuff. And above the dome, over their heads, there was something like a throne in appearance like sapphire, and seated above the likeness of the throne was something that seemed like human form. So the dome is... The dome is solid.
dome.
Yeah. So God is sitting in the water above the dome. Yeah.
Okay, right. So that's what I'm still saying. Like, it is over the dome. So you said that
which is where space. The lights are in the dome.
Are in the
They're
dome.
they're
Right.
within the dome.
But yet
right.
the waters and the
Then there's the
thrones
waters
are above
below the dome.
Right?
Maybe I can show you a
Which is
diagram.
Which is us.
One sec. Let me show you a diagram. This is the one that I think it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, one sec. I wonder if there's a higher resolution version that I can find. Okay. Okay, yeah. Here's a diagram of what's going on here, right? This is what the ancient Hebrews thought the earth was like. So there's like the earth, and then there's like the waters below, and there's the underworld. And then the sun, the moon, and the stars are all glued to the firmament. They're all stuck to it. They're on the right. But we've been to the moon. The moon is not stuck to the firmament.
Look,
there's no firmament that the moon is stuck to.
Okay. I'm not saying that's correct, but that's how I would envision it, kind of.
Okay, but
Not
it's wrong.
1000%,
It's false,
but that's
but
how I would, envision it. And like, so you believe we landed on the moon when they
we
say
have
we did?
video.
Is that
We
what
have
you're
video from landing on the moon, and in fact, we're sending some astronauts back to the moon in like a few months.
I could care less if anyone landed on the moon or not. We
But
don't
then the
know
firmament,
exactly how
but
he
then
is portraying.
the firmament is wrong.
firmament.
Then there's no firmament, right? The firmament is made up.
There
Hogwash.
is a firmament.
Hoopla.
There is
Nonsense.
A firmament.
Where's this
Whether
firmament?
or not the moon is a little bit below the firmament or not.
Where's the
but
firmament?
It absolutely is. Dude, I didn't create the world.
So why do
I
you think
just
that there's
know
a firmament?
I just know God is truth.
Why
I
do you
know
think that there's a
everything he
firmament
said.
then?
And his Bible has survived everything. Do you know how many people try to get rid of it? Do you not see how hard scientists and the world tries to
it
get
hasn't
you to
survived. It's been
believe
super
anything
wrong.
but God? It has survived, though.
I mean, it's survived because people
They've
like
tried
you
to
refuse to like open their eyes and look at the evidence.
No. You know what? I was so much like you. I was so much like you.
I can assure you that you weren't. I can assure you that you weren't.
I was furious. Maybe not scientific like you, but in regards to God, yes, I was. Yes, I was.
I'm sure.
And it takes, especially somebody with your intelligence, for him to take the blinders off. Like, you know that song, Amazing Grace? Like, I was blind, but now I see. Like, I never understood that. You're super intelligent. You see things, you read, you do all your research, and you think you know, you think you got it.
I know
then
things.
One day it's just boom. Okay, but you do and you don't. You're still so blind.
I do know
and
things.
The only one who can take that off, you do, but you also don't. You're still blinded to it. And one day he's gonna take your blinders off, and it's gonna change everything.
I'd love to hear that.
I understand. I'm not even mad. I don't even care. Yeah, I mean, I do care because I want you to know. I just want God to show you so badly. I wish he would do it at this very moment.
Yeah, just don't believe your lying eyes. Believe the book instead. That's what you're telling me to do. You're telling me to ignore all of the evidence in front of me and instead just believe your book.
No. No, 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 no. I'm just saying I want God to take your blinders off. Believe and do your research and be
I want
smart.
atheismo to
Because when
take
God
your
does
blinders
open
off.
your eyes, you're gonna be when God does open your eyes, I think
I
because of how
pray that you are
intelligent
one
you
day.
are gonna be a great.
I pray one day that you are illuminated by the lava lamp.
By the lava lamp. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you have a good day.
Likewise, Amanda. Good luck, and I hope you one day
All
become
right.
illuminated. Take care. Look, it was rough. All hail the lava lamp. All hail the lava lamp indeed. All right, let's read some super chats and we'll move on to our next guest. Sorry, just got to close out of a few things. From Garbagamon with the 2 Canuck bucks. Today is Thursday. Indeed, today is Thursday. From Binary Ghosts with the $5. I use the Mayan calendar, but unfortunately, since the Western calendar year of 2012, I have no idea what day it is. True, yeah, neither do I. From Oceanus Helios with the $5. Caller, the writers of your Cry Bible didn't know anything. Of your Cribble, I'm sorry, didn't know anything. Your Cribble knows nothing, and you know nothing because of your Cribble. They knew some things, just not a lot of things. From Low Earth Surfer with the $5. To the female caller, we have ice cores dating back to 1.8 million years by boring a drill 2,800 meters. Little Dome Sea, East Antarctica, count the rings. If you can send me a source for that, that'd be great, Low Earth Surfer. I only have a source for Greenland ice cores that are 104,000 years old. So if you could send me that, like just at me in the Discord or something like that, and I appreciate it. I'll add it to my debate notes. In the meantime, Little Dome Sea, East Antarctica ice core. I'll just Google it and see if I can, just so then I don't forget in case you don't message it to me. From Mika Makapo with the £5. As one of the dozens of people who neither live in America nor use the US dollar, I think it's great you're looking up the currencies. Yeah, I try to learn them. I appreciate you, Miko. And from Dr. Fudge with the $5, she's just mad people younger than her are smarter than her. Look, I try not to insinuate the intelligence of the people I speak with, because oftentimes it's not about intelligence, it's about what you learned as you were a child, right? That's what it usually boils down to. From Juso here with the €5. If the flood did happen, shouldn't there only be plants left that can survive underwater? Or did Gilgamesh have a boat for all the plants? True, Gilgamesh may have had a boat for all the plants. Or is it Utnapishtim that had a boat? From Casual Panda with the $2. And if you don't know, now you know. From Dr. Fudge with the $2. Of course Earth has corners. It's a time cube. Duh. Oh, I should have brought up the time cube. That's a good point. From Crinial with $2, Gobekli Tepe carbon date was around 11,000 years old. Yep, that's the number that I've seen. From Low Earth Surfer with the $2, you're crushing this poor woman, Blitz, shame on you. Look, I don't make people come up. If they don't want to stay up, then they don't have to. Simeon Urchin sends $2. This sounds like a load of hoopla. Hold on, let's do the thing. Hold on, we're gonna do the thing. Hold on.
Sounds like a lot of... It sounds like a lot of... Sounds like a...
It's so funny. From Very Good Wizard with the $5. I love the projection. Oh, I should keep that up, to be honest. I need to, that's such a,
like
I really need a soundboard, right? I love the projection, the irony of projection. When she said take the blinders off, I was just thinking the call's coming from inside the house, dear guest. Yeah, that's the trouble, right? Ken, thank you so much for the $50. I don't know how many people are in here, probably around 1,500 people across all platforms. Let's get some W's for Ken in the chat if we can. It's a big donation. It helps keep the platform running. The problem with someone like her is she won't abandon her ideals even though there's evidence. She has her mind made up and will not change it. All hail the lava lamp. All hail the lava lamp indeed. And unfortunately, yeah, well, look, it sounds like she wasn't a theist up until 4 years ago, and then something happened. So who knows what happened? Maybe she just hated God before and she wasn't actually an atheist. Who knows? Thank you so much again, Ken. From Gretchen with the $3, lamp is shining on you with so much content today. LOL. Yes, indeed. Indeed, the lamp is. From Minuto de Virologia with the $2, I use your videos while jogging. Rage fuels me. That's why we do it, right? And from Jimmy with the $2 Australian, actually it's 4:30 on Friday. False. It is not 4:30 on Friday. You're wrong. All right. We do have another guest, this time from Discord. Let's bring up NPS. NPS, can you hear me? NPS? Can you hear me all right? I can, but for some reason my Discord audio is not picking you up. Try again.
Test, 1, 2, 3.
Yep, sounds good. So, NPS, how old do you think the Earth is?
Say about 6,000 years old.
Okay, and why so?
Well, first of all, do you believe Jesus is your Lord and Savior?
No.
No. Do you believe he was resurrected from the dead?
No.
I have proof, though. I have proof.
Okay, what's the proof?
Well, about a few years ago when I was overseas, I was doing African American studies, or as I like to call it, niggerology.
Can't believe you waited for that long for that. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Also, he was quiet, so most people couldn't even hear him. Discord mods, ban him. And we have $5 from Tim Davidson. We're 70+% water. The rest consists of minerals, metals, and microbes. We didn't leave the primordial soup. We took it with us. Yeah, we are primordial soup. We're made of soup. I mean, it happens. Like, that's your best. If that's your best representation of Christianity, then, like, I don't know, man. Maybe you shouldn't be a Christian. Let's talk to Lil Sad. Wait, no, it's Lil's Adventures and Tidbits. Lil's, how's it going?
It's good. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can. Lil's, how old do you think the Earth is?
Okay. So I'm sorry. I don't really have a definite answer for that, but...
Do you think that it's less than 100,000 years or more than 100,000 years?
You see, it's hard to disprove that it is younger than 6,000 years.
Hard to disprove it? Pretty easy.
Were you around then? No.
No, I wasn't around 150 years ago either. Do you have a hard time disproving that, or do you have a hard time proving that 150 years ago existed? There were people 150 years ago?
Well, no.
Okay, well, I don't have a hard time proving that there were seasons 100,000 years ago.
Good point. Okay. And I know you are quite intelligent and you have a lot of facts to back your argument, and I'm going to preface that I don't. But I am a firm believer in Jesus, and for you to try to prove that he never existed or wasn't brought back from the dead is impossible.
Well, that's not my claim here.
Right.
My claim is merely that the Earth is not 6,000 years old. In fact, it's not 10,000 years old. It's not 12,000 years old. It's far, far older than any of that.
So I remember your past argument about the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And that trees need oxygen to...
Well, they need carbon dioxide in particular. They need carbon dioxide, but yeah, they need air.
Regardless. So, my God is a very powerful being, and I believe that he could keep anything alive.
Then why didn't he keep the animals alive? Why did he need Noah to come and save all of the animals?
Maybe there were plagues, like such as today, like the bird flu. Maybe they were infected. I don't have that reason.
God is very, very powerful. He could get rid of those.
You're right. But he didn't.
So it seems like kind of
He needed
strange,
to-
doesn't it?
In some ways, yes. But maybe he wanted to start fresh. Have you read?
But not with the plants, just with the animals.
No, I guess not.
And speaking of the animals, after the flood was over, how did the koalas get to Australia?
Well, I think I have a map in my Bible, and the continents were connected. I could be wrong.
Right, but like we don't have any fossils or any skeletons of koalas in like India. I mean, even if they were connected, they still would have had to walk from Turkey to Australia, and we don't have any bodies of koalas from anywhere between Turkey and Australia.
So, you're basing this off of the Old Testament, correct?
Well, I mean, you brought up the flood. That's, you know.
Well, yes. Yes, I did.
So I'm just asking about it.
Fair point. Okay.
And
So
like,
you don't?
more to the point, how did all of the things get to Australia? How did anything get to South America?
Well, they were all connected. Like,
After the flood, they were connected?
after the flood.
When did they stop being connected? Because all of that stuff was supposed to be done when the flood ended. The world wasn't supposed to change after the flood.
Maybe God, waved his fairy wand and put
So
them all over
magic?
there. I'm sorry. You make a valid point, okay? I'm not going to say that you don't have a valid point, and I'm not going to say I understand everything of how the earth was created and how the animals got there.
Well,
But I
look,
also don't know how somebody who is blind got mud over their eyes and could all of a sudden see. I don't understand the power of Christ, but I still believe in it. And I don't see air, but I still believe in it.
right, but you don't have to see air. You can see wind. You can see you can't really see wind.
Can't
You can
see
see like
oxygen.
you can see like wind blowing on trees, for example, right? And by the way, yes, you can see oxygen. You can take air and you can make it into a liquid and then you can see it. But look, my point is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, the reason why I think it's important is because we just have to think about like what's more likely, that there actually was a flood and all of these weird issues with it were just solved magically by a magic god that you've never met, or this was just like a
Okay.
story written by people 4,000 years ago, and they didn't know that Australia existed. They didn't know that trees needed to breathe. So they made a story that just doesn't make sense today because it's not real.
Okay, I haven't met God. I haven't seen his face. For that to happen, I would have had to have died.
Well, that's not true. There was a guy who saw his face and didn't die.
I have felt the presence of God.
I think his name was Jacob, actually, who famously saw God face to face and didn't die. Right?
Jacob.
Yeah. In Genesis 32:30, Jacob says, let me pull it up. In Genesis 32:30, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved.
Genesis. Sorry, I'm just gonna fact check as we do.
Yeah, I can show you the verse. It's here. I have it up on the screen, by the way.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
And Jacob called the name of the place. I've seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Okay, well,
So like you wouldn't necessarily die if you saw God face to face. Jacob didn't.
Okay, well, for my sake, Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God, for he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. Okay, so I haven't personally seen the face of God, but I have felt his presence.
Right. So look, what I'm getting at is that it seems like the far more plausible thing is, like, we agree that like people 4,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago or whatever, these people didn't know about Australia, right? They didn't know that trees needed to breathe. They didn't know that koalas existed. So of course they're going to, like, if they wrote a story, then that story won't take those facts into account. So it's possible that they would write a story about a flood, and then it just gets those things wrong because they didn't know about those things. That seems far more plausible to me than all of these problems being magically solved by God waving his fairy wand.
Creation undated. Did you know that creation doesn't have a date?
Well, I mean, I don't think that the earth was created to begin with. So
for my reference, I have the Life Application Study Bible, and it has a timeline.
Okay.
Creation isn't dated, and neither is the date when the ark was built.
Okay, I think all of that is a myth, so I don't really care.
Okay, well,
Like, it's not really okay, if they don't know the exact date, why is that relevant?
okay, you say the earth isn't 6,000 years old.
Right. It's also not 10,000 years old. Look, if you can be a Christian and also think the earth is 4.5 billion years old, both of those things can be true.
Are you a Christian?
No.
Okay.
But you can be. There are plenty of Christians who totally agree with the science. They're like, yeah, the science says the earth is 4.5 billion years old. And that's true, and I'm still a Christian. A lot of people say that. A lot of people hold that view. It's actually a fairly common view.
Well, okay. I wasn't sure what you were trying to disprove in your argument.
Yeah, merely that the earth was not created a few thousand years ago.
And there's people who are pretty stern about that, I assume.
Yep.
Or I guess I shouldn't assume, but that's why you're having this argument. Which is completely fine. Like, I'm not saying that it's a waste of time or anything. I just wanted to, I guess, get on here to more or less talk to you about God, but you're not trying to prove that God isn't
It's not
real.
the topic today. Nope. You can be a Christian.
Have that topic?
Yep, I have it once a week. I think I did that topic on Monday. So you feel free to come back when I have that as a background. It just isn't today.
Sounds like.
Oh, what was
You
that?
there?
Could you hear me?
No, I can't hear you when you're off the app.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at something. Do you know what laminin is?
Laminin? Is that not a protein? Is that like a, well, actually it might be a protein. It's like a fibrous thing that is in bodies, right?
Yes.
Oh, it is a protein. Okay, yeah, what about it?
The shape of it.
Yeah, it's shaped like a cross, sort of.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know that laminin is in the body?
Yeah, lots of proteins are in the body.
But I wish I could. I'd have to pull up my computer to go back and forth. Sorry. But like, our makeup itself proves God's existence.
What does that have to do with the age of the earth?
It doesn't. I'm sorry. I will try to come back on Monday.
Okay.
And have this discussion with you then.
All right. Take care. Thanks for being here.
Sorry for wasting your time.
You're fine. From One Hot Bun with the $2, this is a load of barnacles. I need a soundboard. I need to, like, I think I have a way to do it. I just need to actually set it up and, you know, pick out some good ones. Actually, I need to start, I'm going to start jotting down soundboard ideas. So I need the hoopla one. Sounds like a lot of hoopla. This is a load of barnacles. That's a good one. And, you know, we'll figure some out as we go. From Dr. Fudge with the $2, we need a higher caliber troll than that weak mess. Well, I'll talk to her at some point in the future. I think that she's old enough. She just seems like she's just a woman, so she has a higher voice, right? She didn't sound young to me. From Joshua Everett with the $5. So I know absolutely nothing, but let me tell you all about the world. Look, that is something that happens frequently. From Java Hollins with the $2, where did science come from? People. Science came from people. Tim Davidson sent the $2 for, so poof, not proof. Yep, that's what happened. Oh, yeah, I also got to get, look, my soundboard is just going to be only SpongeBob quotes. All right, let's talk to War Deadpool. I feel like I've spoken with War Deadpool before, but I don't remember. It was probably a while ago.
What's up, buddy?
War Deadpool, have we spoken before?
Yeah, we did. We went down how I view the 6,000 year.
Well, if we did it before, should we do it again?
Yeah, I don't mind doing it again because you got a new audience.
I mean, yeah, but is it just going to be the same rehashing of the same argument?
No, because I wanted to talk to you about some other things that you were discussing with the flood, so we can actually start there if you want to.
Sure, yeah. How did the koalas get to Australia?
So, fair question. And that is one where someone's going to sit there and say, you know, was the flood actually centered or not? But I will say this, when was dinosaur bones actually discovered?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I think that we first classified them as like dinosaurs in like the 17 or 1800s.
That's correct. Yep.
But so I imagine that people saw them before, but I imagine that people probably thought they were like dragons and stuff.
But right? There's no record of it.
Yeah, I mean, like
1700s.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that like the first confirmed dinosaurs was like the 17 or 1800s. Sure.
Yeah. So, you know, just because that, you know, who knows what else is under Earth that we haven't discovered yet. And we do actually have evidence of some bones existing in one place and not anymore. For instance, like marsupials, they don't exist in South America or Africa anymore. And South America, but they now exist, you know, in places like Australia, and that's due to what I believe in for the continental drift. Yeah,
but so like we don't have any records of any koalas outside of Australia. We just have no records of any of them.
Something hasn't been discovered yet doesn't mean.
Well, right, but so
that's why I was bringing up marsupials.
Right, so you could right. My point is you could say that. That's absolutely fine. You could say that. Oh well, we might find evidence of it in the future. But as it stands right now, this is evidence against the existence of the flood. Similarly, all of the animals that are in South America, that are in Australia, anywhere that's not connected via land. If you have land animals that can't swim, how do they get there?
Right. So how do you explain that a kangaroo went from one continent all the way to Australia?
I don't think that. Are you talking about from like Southeast Asia, like from the islands of Southeast Asia? Because that's where they evolved, I think.
Kangaroos used to live in South America. Ancient.
What, is that true?
Marsupials.
Did kangaroos exist in? Well, hold on. Kangaroos or marsupials?
Marsupials.
Because not all marsupials are kangaroos.
So correct. I was just using that so people understood what a marsupial was.
Right. So kangaroos are in Australia and New Guinea, right?
Yeah. So
what was the question?
You had places like South America that used to have them. Now, obviously, they don't. You also used to have places like, Europe.
But this
used
doesn't
to
answer my
have
question.
crocodiles. Europe used to have crocodiles. Now crocodiles are something that's, a tropical climate.
This doesn't answer my question though. How did the animals that can't swim, get to Australia, get to the Americas?
Crocodiles can't swim through the ocean because they're not salt bearing.
So do you think that crocodiles evolve, or you don't think evolution happened? On my view, crocodiles predate the breakup of the continents. So there's no issue there. You could have crocodiles all over the place because they were connected by land. Also, there are literally saltwater crocodiles. So
but not
it's literally a type of crocodile. No, but you're right. The point is that crocodiles and alligators, these are far older as far as species are concerned than or as genera, I think, whatever the word is. These are far older than the breakup of the continents. So you would expect to see these things everywhere where they can be, basically.
Okay. So,
but you're still not answering my question. How did the land animals that can't swim post-flood, you have lots of land animals that can't swim. How did they get to the Americas? How did they get to Australia?
Well, how did a marsupial...
Stop asking questions. Answer my question.
Do what?
Stop answering my question with a question. Just answer it.
Well, no, I just told you marsupials used to... So the reason why is because what I believe in is still that the continental drift still happened.
When?
When? I don't know the time frame of when the continental drift actually happens.
Well, it must have happened after the flood, right?
Sure.
During the time of written records.
So as I explained to you last time, is just because something. By
the way, apparently marsupials evolved like 100 to 120 million years ago, and so marsupials would have been present before the breakup of the continents. So there's no issue there on my worldview.
Yeah, but that is what science says.
Yeah, that is what you're right. I agree.
Yeah. So, like when you sit there and you talk about, so the way that I described it for anyone who's new listening to me is when you make a painting, and if I did a painting today and then someone asked how old is it, some would sit there and say that it's only a day old. But to others, they would sit there and dissect it. And
what does this have to do with the flood?
Because I'm showing that how there could have been existence that does go back further than the 6,000 years.
Was the flood global or not?
So see, I do not think that the flood was something that was actually a global event, because it doesn't.
So the Bible's wrong?
Say that. It's just in the eyes of Noah of what his world was.
Hold on, I just got to double check this. Pretty sure it says that it's global, isn't it?
So, but again, you're going off of, who was writing the Bible for that part of Noah.
So is it your contention that the Bible is incorrect?
No, that's not being incorrect. When you sit there and say that, someone's world, for what they view it as. Like, have you ever had an argument with your wife and you sit there and say, hey, in my world, this never exists, but your world is limited to, New York.
But hold on, it's not Noah saying this, it's God saying this, right?
Well, it's the writer who is saying it.
So the writer misquoted God?
Huh?
So the writer misquoted God?
No, there is no misquote of God. It's that they're inspired.
Explain this.
They're inspired.
And God, so this is Genesis 6:13. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh. So this is a quote from God, right? This is a direct quote. The end of all flesh has come before me, blah, 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 blah. I will destroy them with the earth. And then there's a bunch of instructions. And behold, I, even I, this is still God talking, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh. wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So this is God talking. So is that a misquote of God, or is God lying about killing all of the animals?
No, but that can still be seen as, that it is directly just talking to what Noah knows of existence.
So God was lying to Noah?
No, God was
He did
not
say
lying.
all flesh, did he not?
So again, God could literally be talking to Noah for what all he knows.
So when God said, I will destroy all flesh, God didn't mean all flesh.
So he meant all flesh for Noah's world. I mean, that's just one possibility.
But those words aren't in the text, right?
I mean,
Those words aren't in the text. And let's look at Genesis 7, by the way. And the Lord said unto Noah, and here's a whole bunch of stuff about instructions, for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. Every single thing. He seems very, very, very adamant that it's every single thing, not just the stuff that Noah knows.
Well, you're
seems
also
pretty
using
adamant.
modern day language. You're not using Arabic.
It wasn't written in Arabic. What the fuck?
Or, I'm sorry, Hebrew.
Do you want to go look at the Hebrew? We can do that too.
So, yeah, because when you look at word
go look at that
on things, so like for instance, like here's another thing. So, the word forever in the Hebrew of when they were saying things in like a modern day language,
Genesis
when they would
7:4.
say that the word forever doesn't mean that something goes on and on and on and on. It just meant as far as the eye could see. So there's a thing about modern day language and not, so that not as far as, like Spanish to English to Greek and things like that. It's what modern day language was. So like, for instance, when you were saying,
but hold on. We could just look at the Hebrew, right?
Well, hold on. Let me finish this. So
Here's
like
the Hebrew.
when you were saying that the four corners was proof that your claim of that the Bible was saying the earth was flat, the four corners was a saying. There's literally, you can go to Newfoundland if you ever go out exploring further than where you're living at. If you went to Newfoundland, there's actually a location that is called one of the four corners of the world.
Yeah, so this is the Hebrew, right? You can see it? Okay, so I think that the relevant word is here, or the relevant phrase is Pnei Ha'adama. So I'm just going to punch that into Google Translate really quick. The face of the earth. So Pnei Ha'adama translates to the face of the earth. So, and we have this entire bit here, which reads, Umachiti et kol hay. My accent's gonna be terrible, by the way. Et kol haikum asher asiti me'al Pnei Ha'adama. It sound like I'm a third grader reading. And so we can just go shove this into Google Translate word for word, and it'll just translate the words directly, right?
Not exactly.
And I wiped out all the creation that I had made from the face of the earth.
Yeah, so you're using modern day language. This is why it is
so,
important.
But like so you agree that this sentence means that he's going to wipe out the things on the face of the earth, because like the phrase "face of the earth" is Pnei Ha'adama, right?
But you have to understand modern day language. Did you not hear what I said about the four corners of the world?
Look, I understand that language can be used poetically, but my point is that what do you think this sentence means?
It's not poetically. Like, did you not hear what I just said about forever?
No, go ahead and repeat it.
Okay, so yeah, so like chill with the ChatGPT and actually.
I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm translating stuff.
Okay.
I'm translating stuff. This is the translation stuff that I'm doing.
So you're doing something as I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah, because I was telling you I was going to go find the Hebrew, and then you started talking about something else. By the way, the relevant word is umachiti, which means "and I will destroy." And so
I don't have to sit down in front of a computer to sit here and actually have a civilized conversation. So
I mean, like, do you speak Hebrew? Do you speak Hebrew fluently?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, I don't speak Hebrew fluently. I can only read it, so I need to use translations. I'm using a translation so that we can look at the original text, because you were complaining that this translation, it's a new translation, but we can just go look at the Hebrew, what the Hebrew words mean.
Again, modern day language, you're failing to understand it. So again, let me tell you. So the word forever, when they said it back in the times of 2,000 plus years ago, when the word forever was said, it was not meant as something that actually goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. The word forever back then meant as far as the eye could see. So like when you sit there and you look at a road that goes over a mountain, that's an example.
Yeah, that's by the way, that's metaphorical language. You understand that, right?
So it's a modern day language.
No. The use of the word forever to convey, because people do this in modern day too. They say, oh, these hills go on forever. That's metaphor.
There is certain things though of where there is modern day language. I mean, you go pull someone out of the 1700s.
So we're looking. This is the Hebrew, right? So we have Panei Ha'adamah, that means the face of the earth, and we have Mahiti, which means I will destroy or I will wipe clean.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the stuff, like the rest of the words here are things like, all of the things that I have made, I will wipe, it's all of that stuff. But the point is I will wipe clean the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a modern language issue. This is just what the words mean.
So, well, that's what I'm explaining for, what someone's world is.
Right, but this is God talking. God didn't think that the whole world was the Middle East.
He could have, he may have not.
Why would God have thought the whole world was the Middle East if God knew that Australia existed?
For who is telling the story.
But this is God talking.
Correct. This is God talking to someone. So what your world is, like I explained, when you sit there and you're telling your wife in an argument, hey, in my world, you've never done this. You're only speaking about in your existing of the world, not the whole entire world, actually.
It sounds like you're doing do you watch the Winter Olympics?
Do I watch them? Yeah, I enjoy them. I haven't watched them this year, though.
Did you enjoy the Summer Olympics a few years ago with, what's her name? The stupendous gymnast?
No,
what was her name?
Name.
Best female gymnast of all time. Well, I would recognize her name. Simone Biles. You got to know who Simone Biles is. Right, so what you're currently doing is like the Simone Biles, or is the linguistic equivalent of Simone Biles gymnastics.
Okay.
Like you're just saying these words don't mean what they say. Clearly, we have to, wriggle our way and do backflips in order to make sure that the words don't say something wrong because, otherwise the Bible's wrong.
No, because like I just explained, so do this one. Go use a Google search on one of the four corners is in Newfoundland.
I've actually been to the Four Corners. The Four Corners are
so you have been to the Four Corners
Arizona.
And you sat there and just told Amanda 30 minutes ago that
the Four Corners are the four corners of the states.
Man, come on, Blitz.
It's the four corners of the states.
You just sat there and said that the four corners represented flat Earth, dude.
Well, so were they talking about the four corners of four states?
Man.
Were they talking because you know where the four corners are?
When did the word atmosphere become in?
Do you know what the word the four corners refers to?
So yeah,
like when you can visit there.
Corners is actually a saying that comes out of the medieval times, and goes back even further than that.
The Four Corners is a region of the southwestern United States consisting of the southwestern corner of Colorado, southeastern corner of Utah, northeastern corner of Arizona, and northwestern corner of New Mexico. That's what the Four Corners are. If you're talking about going to the Four Corners in the real place.
Shows different Four Corners.
All right, let's go to the Newfoundland Four Corners. My lack of understanding, says the guy that is apparently words don't mean words kind of guy, but that's fine. I'm not actually finding anything on the Four Corners of Newfoundland.
The Four Corners of Newfoundland, you actually see where they show the Four Corners at.
So that, by the way, this is exceptionally funny. And, we shouldn't trust AI overviews generally, but I just thought that I'm just going to show you something that's funny. This is funny. This is funny. Brimstone Head on Fogo Island, Newfoundland is famously designated by the Flat Earth Society as one of the four corners of the Earth.
Yeah, so it's hilarious that you actually understand this. And again,
wait, did you just hear me?
Falsely told Amanda that
did you just hear me?
That the Earth is flat.
Did you just hear me?
That's
I didn't even know this, but this is hilarious.
It's so hilarious.
Did you read this? Did you hear it?
That you understand that it's hilarious. You pick and choose when to mock someone.
So yes, you're right. The four corners is a flat Earth
thing. You don't even understand when the word atmosphere came into existence.
The four corners. I'm glad that we agreed that. Stop pivoting.
Can you rattle this off
Stop pivoting. Stop pivoting.
Googling?
Stop pivoting.
Can you rattle?
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute you for a sec, so that I can make sure that so we can make sure that we're clear. At least according to the AI overview, the four corners in Newfoundland is a flat Earth thing. That's a flat Earth thing. The flat earthers say that this brimstone head on Fogo Island, Newfoundland, is one of the four corners. That's a flat Earth thing. So that actually confirms my position. It doesn't disagree with it.
It's hilarious that you actually sit there and pick and choose. Like I said, there are some people that believe in Bigfoot, sure. You know, they don't actually go out and explore to like Newfoundland to see that there's four corners.
Okay, so what are the four corners at Newfoundland then? What is that? What is that?
Where they left them at? I think.
Why are they called the four corners? Or why is one of the four corners in Newfoundland? Yeah.
Because it's literally a saying from some places to other places of where the four corners are. So it's like how you said a second ago, like how in a place like Central South America will sit here and say that it's a four corner, and then they'll rest you.
So that you have no justification for why it's it's apparently Newfoundland, not Newfoundland. So you have no justification for why it was called that, because the only people I'm seeing that call it that are flat earthers.
Yeah, like so. Again,
so yeah, this is a flat Earth thing.
People that, but
nobody else calls it. Nobody else calls it one of the corners of the Earth, right?
What is crazy is like you're flip-flopping. So on one end, you understand that it's a saying. And
no, I never said that. I never said that.
Okay. Well, you went after Amanda trying to say in one point.
Yeah, if you think the Earth has four corners, then you would think that it's flat because a sphere doesn't have corners.
Correct. A sphere does not have corners.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if you think that the Earth has corners, which the people in the Bible may very well have,
like Central America and Newfoundland.
Wait, you're missing the point. The people in Newfoundland who call it one of the four corners are flat earthers.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Can you find me some other historical source or something that makes the claim that this place in Newfoundland is one of the four corners, but is not a flat earther?
That is no. So that if you go and visit that area, they don't sit there and say that this justifies flat Earth.
At that area, there's literally a flat Earth museum at that location.
Sure, there's a flat Earth museum, but that doesn't mean why you don't understand. What is crazy is that saying predates that museum and everything.
That saying is a flat Earth saying.
Yes. Some people take things out of context. Is that a shocker?
Can you find me an example of somebody who knows that the Earth is a sphere using the language the four corners of the Earth in anything besides metaphor?
Can I find... I said again, sorry.
Can you find me an example of anybody who's not a flat earther, thinks that the Earth is a sphere, that uses the language of the four corners of the Earth in anything that's not a metaphor, i.e. to refer to specific places?
So yeah, up there was one of them, but
no, this is what flat earthers use. Flat earthers use this. This is not non-flat earthers.
Yeah, so now I got to go into doing a Google search.
Yep, go ahead. Take your time.
Here and show this.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I can't play Jeopardy music because that would probably get me.
I play Jeopardy music all the time.
I don't want to get like demonetized or something.
Oh, because on the YouTube end?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You probably would.
But I can hum it. I'm gonna ask you to mute while you're typing, by the way, just because it's apparently like the sound is kind of loud. But feel free to unmute when you find your thing. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll give him a minute or two to find it. I mean, like the point is, and like this is actually like I didn't even know that this is the case, but like apparently, there are places that flat earthers call the various corners of the earth, and like Newfoundland is one of them, which is really funny. That's like a thing that exists. I wonder where the other places are.
All right, so here's one. There was a guy named Thomas Aquinas.
Thomas Aquinas, yeah.
Yep. So he largely believed
Do you know who
in
he is?
spherical Earth. He actually used this saying, as well as another guy named.
Yeah. What
Diddy.
can you give me a quote?
A quote from them?
Yeah, you said that he used the saying. Presumably, like Thomas Aquinas wrote a lot, so presumably you have like a quote of him using this language, right?
No, I just sat here and did a Google search on people who sit there and use the.
Oh, so then
it without.
Did you just use ChatGPT?
So, yeah.
Maybe Google AI.
That? Like that's what you're
Nothing.
doing.
No.
Like you can't like.
Nothing's wrong with that, but you like accused me of it like it's a bad thing. So like.
Well, no, because when you were using it, you elected not to listen to anything that I said.
Well, I wasn't using it then. I was actually just working on translations for Hebrew. I only used the Google AI for the.
When I was sitting here
No, I actually was. That's what I was pulling up before.
Yeah.
I used the AI overview just like 2 minutes ago to talk about the four corners thing. But yeah, no, before that I was just working on translations from Hebrew. I was looking for the verse and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Not everyone knows everything.
Right, but like it was just weird that you would like, chastise me when then you just go and use it. So yeah, if you could find me a quote of Thomas Aquinas using this language, and then we can investigate it.
Because you sat there and was, using it miscorrectly.
I wasn't using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Like I tell people when I use it, I literally just went over it. I showed you the AI overview. I wasn't using it before.
Yeah. Let's see.
Miscorrectly.
Let's see. Yeah, so he used sayings of all corners of the globe, ends of the earth and things like that.
Ends of the earth is not the same thing as four corners.
I'm just saying, but that's another thing that some people that would use, for their evidence to say that earth is flat.
Well, I don't know if people would do that, but like, so like, okay, so which text was this written in? I mean, like, look, here's the reason why I'm being so pushy on this is that like you came here and you said that like definitely this is just a saying that people use even if they blah 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 blah, even if they're not flat earthers. And then when pressed on it, you had to go to ChatGPT and you found Thomas Aquinas. You didn't even find a quote for me. And now you're finding like paraphrases that are like kind of like it, but not quite the same thing. But you were so confident that people just use that language as a phrase to mean that the earth is, to just mean something like metaphor. Like, where's the confidence now?
There's been a vast amount of people who are taking it fully out of context. And don't
Where's the confidence of the people who say that the earth, the four corners of the earth, and not mean it either metaphorically, which can be easily read into the text, or they're actually flat earthers?
Yeah, well, the internet wasn't sitting there around for Thomas and things like that, or all this type of stuff. So what you're looking at is the majority who use the language of saying, oh, well, I'm a flat earther and this is where I'm coming from because it says four corners, or because it says the ends of the earth and things like that. They don't understand that these things are where it is literally using it out of context. They don't understand the modern day language of the way that people spoke at that time.
Okay, but you have struggled to give me any evidence that this meant anything other than they thought that the Earth was flat, back at 2,500 years ago. Because to be clear, they did. They did think that the Earth was flat. The authors of the Hebrew Bible thought that the Earth was flat.
So you also, the amount of people that used to believe that the Earth was flat was usually people that had like schooling, and schooling wasn't something that was for the peasants or even the middle class. It was something
everybody thought the Earth was flat 2,500 years ago.
Yeah, so it was for the high end, but for the
everybody
that were like peasants and stuff, this was merely stuff that they probably did not even care about.
Well, sure, maybe they didn't think about it, but if you asked them, they would have been like, oh, well, like, it's flat. Like, look, they'd be like, yeah, look, it's flat.
Okay.
Like, everybody thought that. So the authors, when they were writing this about the four corners, etc., they were meaning it literally.
Until, like the 1700s, when it was kind of like widely accepted that
it was like around 2,000 years ago or so, 2,100 years ago or so, was when at least like amongst the people who cared. That's by like 2,100 years ago, historians and scientists, they were all just like writing as if the Earth were a globe and as if that was not even a debate.
Okay. So again, though, I mean, you're sitting here on one side and you're like, hey, it was widely accepted as that, and that you're acting like the churches pushed it. But then on the other side, you're sitting here saying, like, oh, well, just because one person says it means that, everybody else accepted that it was a globe.
What? So what do you think that you just conveyed to me? Because I have no understanding of what you just said.
Okay, so at one side of your mouth, you just sat there and said, when I was telling you that peasants and things like that did not care about the thing. But then on the next side of your breath, you sat there and used an argument how some of these people were sitting there, much recent to our age.
Much recent? What? Are we talking about the people from 2,100 years ago?
Age of time. So, like
2,100 years ago, like the ancient Greeks?
That was sitting here studying this stuff, that when they were studying this stuff, you want to sit there and act like they were pushing it onto the people to believe in globe.
Wait, when did I say what? No. When did I, like, if that's what you understood from what I was saying?
Because I thought that you actually just came out of your mouth and said that 2,000 years ago, less than 2,000 years ago, they were not teaching the Earth was flat.
I haven't used any number less than 2,000. So up until around 2,100, maybe 2,200 years ago, up until then, even all of the scientists and the philosophers, they thought that the Earth was flat, or they thought the Earth was something else besides a globe. Or if they did think that the Earth was a globe, it was kind of like vibes based. There wasn't really any reason. So you have like one guy, I think what was his name? Anaximet. It has an X in it. One of these ancient Greek guys, he thought that the Earth was a globe, but it was kind of just like a philosophy vibe. And this was like 2,400 years ago. It wasn't really like a mainstream idea. By the time you get to, let me pull up my notes. What's his name? Is it Herodotus? No, it's Pliny. It's Pliny the Elder. So by the time you get to Pliny the Elder, who was like a natural philosopher, he was like an early scientist. This is like, I guess, like just after Jesus. Just after Jesus, you have people talking about the Earth as if it's a globe, just completely nonchalantly, just assuming that it is indeed a globe. They're not trying to say, oh, we don't know if it's a globe or not. They just this was known knowledge that it was a globe. And that's about, in this case, about like, I got the date a little bit wrong, 1,950 years ago or so. And so that means that sometime between like 2,400 years ago and 1,950 years ago, so around a few hundred years before Jesus, this knowledge that the Earth is a globe solidified amongst at least the educated people, like the philosophers and the historians and these kinds of people. Yeah, at least in the West. At least in the West, yeah. I mean, like, peasants didn't know anything because they didn't have an education. But when we're talking about, like,
they actually understood, and the education system just started coming around in the last few.
Fortunately, the people who wrote the Bible weren't peasants, right?
They weren't what? They weren't
peasants. No, they knew how to write. So they would have been the people. If like if they knew the Earth was a globe, they would have been the people who knew the Earth was a globe. But they were writing at a time before people knew, even the educated people, before the educated people even knew that the Earth was a globe.
And again, I go back to the way that modern day language was used.
So more linguistic Simone Biles behavior?
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
dude, I mean, you can sit here and say that I'm behaving something, but you know that it actually makes sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you a question. Like, this is
Sure.
a big claim of yours that you were belittling Amanda about, was the trees and stuff. If you believe that the Earth has been around for millions and millions of years, why is it that only trees go back to 6,000 years?
Well, as in, like, why do animals
Like,
not? Or why do trees only
isn't
go
there
back
a
that far?
tree that is in existence to where you're like, oh man, this thing's 100,000 years old?
There are. These are called clonal. These are called clonal colonies. There's one that's in Utah that's like at least 14,000 years old. It's called Pando.
Yeah, so that one is actually, and they've already sat there and said, out of that one, that's not a tree that's actually cut down. If it's the one I'm thinking about,
It's not a single tree at all. It's a clonal colony. So yes, lots of them have been cut down.
okay, so you're talking about like trees like aspen trees that sit there
Yes,
and
this is
have
a type of aspen.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So that doesn't mean that, you know, like you were going into the rings inside of a tree. Where have you seen rings inside of a tree that goes back 100,000 years ago?
So as far as I know, the tree ring chronology, the confirmed tree ring chronology that we have, I think only goes back 14,000 years. And this is not with a single living tree, right? The oldest living single tree that has been verified is like just under 5,000 years old. And that's because trees don't live forever, right?
Right. So
at least like individual stems don't live forever. So, but what you can do is that you can take tree ring data from one tree, and then you can use the widths of the tree ring data because that tells you about like seasonal behavior, and you can compare it with the dead bark or the dead trunk of some probably older tree, and then you can line up those tree rings, and then you can use the older tree now to go back even further. And so you can kind of like stack them in layers where you can confirm their overlaps, and you can go back something like 14,000 years, I think. But trees don't live forever. So, I mean, to suggest that, like, yeah, why don't you find trees that are from that have like a million year long tree? Like, they just don't live forever, right?
I mean, I'm just saying that I think that's a poor argument for trying to say that it goes back to, you know, that you believe in a million years, and your argument was
I don't rely on trees for a million years.
But that was your big woo-ha towards Amanda, though.
No, the reason why I brought that up is because it makes the flood look like nonsense. Because if the trees can survive from before the flood, then the flood couldn't have happened because trees can drown.
You also believe, though, that it was a year-long flood, and you think the mountains
That's what it says in the
covered.
That's what it says in the Bible.
No, you believe, though, in your mind that you're trying to tell people is that
That's what it
the year-long
says.
flood covered the mountains for the entire year.
Well, I mean, so there were no trees for the dove to land on up until a year had passed, right?
Yeah, so do you know how tall that mountain is compared to other mountains around
Mount
the world?
Ararat? It's fairly tall.
It's fairly tall. But like, I mean, go to that mountain and see what's the oldest tree on that mountain.
I don't know if there are trees on top of mountains in general, which, by the way, makes even less sense. Like, trees don't live at the top of mountains. So Mount Ararat is 16,000 feet high. That makes it one of the taller mountains in the world. It is very tall. Trees actually don't grow at that elevation. So there would have been no trees that are that are higher than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I sit here and go back to the point, though, that I would
Okay,
not
so
be
we're
using
deflecting.
trees. No, this ain't deflecting. You're using trees as an argument for your ancient times, but
Trees
so are
as
you
an
telling me
argument
then?
against the flood.
No, it's not an argument against the flood.
It is.
because
How did the trees
what you're
survive?
doing is you're actually sitting here trying
How did the
to tell
trees?
people
How did the
way
trees
that-
survive?
Huh?
How did the trees survive?
Well, just because. So, are you familiar with the flood that just happened in North Carolina a couple of years ago?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so there was a massive hurricane that went through, and it struck the mountains in North Carolina. And the peak of the water reached, I forget how high that water went, but it was insanely high. But still, the peak of the water only existed for a moment of like literally a few hours. It wasn't something that peak level stood at that for this entire 3 weeks that they had a flood going on.
Yeah,
like the
so
waters did not
the
fully
waters
reside
were
back to normal until
for
several weeks.
Yeah, so in the Bible story, the waters were at least, if Mount Ararat is to be trusted, the waters were at least 16,000 feet high for a year.
No, so when the dove was sent out versus when he opened the doors to step on land is a different time scale.
Yeah, let me read you something. Here's the relevant chapter. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. So it wasn't until 10 months were the tops of the mountains even seen, right?
So
and it came to pass at the end of
all around the world.
And it came to pass at the end of 40 days. This is not Noah speaking, right? This is just a description of what happened.
It's for Noah, right?
And by the way, this would have been, so we could even say, let's just be ultra generous, and let's say that this is only referring to the mountains that he could see, which was Mount Ararat, which would be 16,000 feet. So it took 10 months for the waters to get at least as low as 16,000 feet.
Yeah, really isn't that tall.
Trees can't live that high. There's not enough air. That's past the tree line.
Okay.
So the trees that are 5,000 years old, which by the way are not at high elevation at all, we know where they are. They're in like the western half of the United States. Those trees would have been underwater for 10 months at least.
And again, the type of trees that you're using is in different locations.
Yeah, it's in Nevada, is where Prometheus is, and Methuselah is in California.
Yeah, so Noah wasn't in America, right?
So was America not flooded?
And this goes back to, I don't know.
Well, it does say that, it was the face of the earth. It does talk about wiping off all of the animals from the face of the earth. But, words don't mean words, am I right?
No, there's modern day language of how you use things, but you do not want to accept that. It's totally fine. One last thing.
We looked at the Hebrew, but you didn't want to accept that either.
No, because you're not understanding how people use language.
Words don't mean words, right? That's what I said.
No. Okay. Yep. So if you're what someone uses in a paragraph today is vastly different than what someone used literally in the 1700s. So the way that they talk to one another. So
what do you think? So there's a phrase in Hebrew, kol haaretz. What do you think that phrase means?
I have no idea.
It means all of the earth, or the whole of the earth, or the whole earth. That's just like kol. The word kol just means all, and haaretz means the earth.
And
like
again,
those are just what the words mean. Those words haven't changed meaning in the last 3,000 years in Hebrew.
They actually have different types of words.
Okay, evidence. Give me the evidence. Give me the evidence that those words don't mean what those words don't mean what words mean.
So here's what I suggest is go talk to, someone who actually understands Hebrew fully, and they can actually do a lot better job than I can.
Fortunately, I have. I took 6 years of Hebrew.
Okay. I'm surprised that you don't speak it fluent. And
I'm really bad. I'm really bad at languages, but I've spoken with many people who are completely fluent in Hebrew.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just that's a head scratcher there that you did it for 6 years, and
like I said, really bad at language. I mean, you know how it is in school. Like, I'm sure you took Spanish in school, but you don't speak Spanish, right? Or maybe you do speak Spanish, but lots of people take several years of Spanish, and they can interact with people in Spanish, but they don't speak it fluently.
One thing that I'll give you some food for thought on because I got to get going.
Sure.
The word atmosphere did not come into existence until like the 1700s.
Okay.
So like when they were in, whenever Genesis was written, and they used the word firmament, that was just the word that was around at that age.
Okay.
If the word,
but they also thought that it
around,
was like made of crystals, so they thought. There's another verse where it says it's like made of like it has like a metallic sheen, and it's like they actually thought it was like a solid barrier.
So, yeah. Anyhow, just food for thought for you.
Sounds good, War Deadpool.
So have a blessed one.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow, that was something. Oh, I didn't have him even on display. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I mean, like, it was just like words don't mean words, I guess. That's what it has to be. All right, let's read some super chats and we'll bring up our next guest. From Simeon Urchin with the $5. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Used for recurring bad faith calls. Look, that's probably too long of a, soundboard things have to be short. The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma. These are so good. From Dan O'Connell with the 7 Canuck bucks. Indigenous peoples of Western Canada knew about fossilized dinosaurs. They said they were the grandfathers of the bison. That's neat. I didn't know that. From Dr. Fudge with the $5. They do radiometric dating on paintings, and it's one of the stronger forgery detection methods. Why would he bring that up? That's a good point. I didn't actually know that before. From Alanin with the 5 Canuck bucks. Thank you for the Canada flag, bud. From Dan again with the 14 Canuck bucks. How much to drop this wanker? Well, sorry, I tend to not drop people. Ken again with the $20. Thank you so much. That's so generous. Behold, I'll destroy Blitz logic with these words. You just simply don't understand. Boom, destroyed, wrecked, decimated, and rebuked. All hail the magic conch. Indeed. Indeed, all hail the magic conch. The conch who speaks to us with words. For Mr. Kiki with the $5, guest's ears are purely decorative. Thinks in Mad Libs and has the deductive reasoning of a broken magic 8-ball. Let's be nice, y'all. Be nice. You're better than this. From Charlene War with the 2 Canuck bucks, some really good callers on today. Well, at least definitely interesting ones. From Eric S with the $5. Actually, the earth is a tetrahedron, 4 corners not flat. Also, the idiom 4 corners of the earth comes from the Bible. I believe that, actually. Oh, it's conch. That's right, not conch. But don't they say conch in SpongeBob? Isn't that what they say? Yeah, so to be clear, I took 6 years of like the second level of Hebrew. Well, the first year was the first level of Hebrew. And then I stagnated in the second level because I didn't care about learning it. So I just had to sit through it. So that's why I can read it. That's why I know some very basic words, but there's no way I could have a conversation with anybody. From Kelly Schur with the $5. How's your kitty, Dr. Blitz, if you don't mind sharing? Atayodeo Ivrit. No, very, very little. Very, very little star anime. So my kitty is fine. She had to get some stitches, which is why I had to take a phone call yesterday. She had a little mass on her ear that they wanted to ask me if they could remove. And so, yeah. But she's doing fine. She had to wear a cone and she freaked out, so we just took it up. She's fine though. It was probably just a wart or something. They're gonna do a biopsy, but it's probably fine. From Mr. Kiki with the $2. Thank you again. You keep talking over me, pot meat kettle. Look, I have a problem with interrupting too, and I need to work on it. From XD Solitarius with the $2. Earth existed long before Adam and Eve came here. Well, that would be true, yeah. You're not tired, Dr. Blitz. You are here every day for many hours. I'm here 5 days a week for 3 hours, 3 days a week for 3 hours, and then 2 days a week for an hour and a half. From Chewy with the $5. So hell, Norway is a real place. Does that mean Satan is its mayor and all heathens go there when they die? Look, if all heathens went to Norway when they died, then, people should be a lot less worried because Norway's a nice place. From Dan O'Connell with the 279 Canuck bucks. This guy is simping for Amanda so hard. Yeah, it was kind of weird, wasn't it? Mr. Kiki again with the $2. If cope was a currency, this guy would be loaded. If I had a nickel, I would have something, I would have 2 nickels. which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. I don't know how it goes. Making the reference, right? And from Dark Nebula with the 14 ZAR, which, what is that? I don't want to assume. South African Rand, that's what it is. I always forget. And is that because it was like Zambia? Like, why does it start with Z? Why does it start with ZAR? I don't understand that. But anyway, thank you so much, Dark Nebula. Oh, the question: how to self-teach maths and physics? I do logistics. Pick up some textbooks. Oh, it's Zuid Afrika. Okay, okay, that's fair. That makes sense. Zuid Afrique. Okay, Zuid. Okay, yeah, I just didn't know. I just didn't know why the word was for South Africa, right? Yeah, it starts with the Z. South Africa. Great. All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to Wicked Dancer. Wicked Dancer, how's it going? Wicked Dancer? All right. Looks like Wicked Dancer's not here. Let's talk to We Outta Here. We Outta Here, how's it going? By the way, you'll have to unmute yourself. All right, looks like he's not here either. Max, how's it going? Max? Where is everybody? Max!
Hello?
Howdy, how's it going?
I'm doing good, you?
I'm doing all right. Max, give me just one moment. I want to give you a little bit of gain because your audio is a little on the quiet side. Max, how old do you think the Earth is?
I think the Earth is... Wait, I have one question. Is this the religion debate or the Earth old debate?
An age of the Earth debate.
Oh, I think I'm here for the wrong debate, sorry.
Indeed
Because I
you
do
are.
believe that the Earth is quite old, but I am religious as well.
Okay, well, thanks for being here, Max. All right, let's talk to We Outta Here again. We Outta Here, welcome back. You gotta unmute yourself.
Hello?
We Outta Here, welcome. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We Out Here. So,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How old do you think the Earth is?
The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, but I wanted to think. Hello?
Sorry, gotta let you go. That's not... It says Earth isn't 6,000 years old. Join if you disagree. From Kos with the 10 Polish zloty, cope is currency when you belong to church. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Well, not always. Okay, let's try talking to Thomas. Thomas. Oh, am I speaking? Thomas, how's it going?
Are you only accept people disagreeing with me right now?
Your connection is all sorts of ass. Thomas, one more time?
Can anybody hear me?
I can, yeah, much better. You there, Thomas?
Hello, hello? Yes, I'm here. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah. How old do you think the Earth is? All right, it seems like there's an enormous delay, so I'm gonna let you go. All right, let's talk to Riz. Riz, how's it going?
I'm all right, Blitz. How you doing?
Riz, did you change your name?
Yeah, I changed it from the professor because I wanted people.
It used to just be Riz Laden.
Yes. I wanted to get rid of that.
Oh, that's a bummer. Well, Riz, yeah. Unfortunately, I was looking for a new guest, and we've spoken many, many times, so I'm going to let you go, but, you know, we can always talk again later, okay?
Oh, you're scared, Blitz.
Yep, I'm so scared. I'm so scared, Riz. I didn't know that was the one, the only Riz. I love that guy. I mean, I don't love that guy, but, you know, we've had a cordial back and forth for a while. Musul, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Musul, how old do you think the Earth is?
Well, we don't know how old the Earth actually is. That's what.
Well, that wasn't my question. My question is how old do you think the Earth is? How old do you think it is? Yeah.
Well, if I don't know how old it is, like, how can I think something?
So then why did you? So do you disagree that the? Do you disagree with the statement Earth isn't 6,000 years old?
I disagree with you being an atheist, and then.
Okay, well that's not the topic today.
But how the world is created, if you don't know how, then it's irrelevant how long it exists.
Fortunately, we do know how the Earth was created. Second of all, the topic is not atheism today. The topic is about the age of the Earth.
Well, you can't prove the age of the Earth, so
sure I can.
No, you cannot.
But look, if you don't want to have a conversation about it, that's fine. I can let you go. Let's talk to Commander After 40. Commander After 40, how's it going?
Hello.
Commander.
I'm going well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. Commander, how old do you think the Earth is?
I'm not sure. In my personal opinion, I think that it is more than 6,000, but less than what science says it is.
Okay, question. Commander, how old are you?
I'm 42. I just have a very high-pitched voice.
I kind of assumed as much, but people were asking. I mean, you don't have a... By the way, do you play Magic the Gathering?
I do.
Nice. Nice. Anyway, we can talk about... You know what? DM me later. We can talk about it. We can talk about that later. But so you think that it's younger than science says it is, right?
Correct, but I don't think it's 6,000.
So how much younger?
I would say like maybe 100,000. I'm
interesting...
not really thinking that it's like 4 billion or any of that. I think it's a little younger than that.
So it's a little puzzling, right? Because I mean, like the biblical account certainly isn't compatible with that age.
Correct.
Neither is the scientific account. So where is this coming from?
I'm basing it off of basically human understanding, which I understand is very flawed. I get that. But human beings haven't been around for very long, and we're only assuming at best and making it up at worst on how long certain things have been around. So in essence, I like reading the science, but I sometimes wonder how much of it is just made up.
So the way that, are you aware of like how scientists got to the 4.5 billion years mark?
Carbon dating, wasn't it?
Not carbon dating. It's called radiometric dating. It's another kind of radiometric. Carbon dating is also a kind of radiometric dating. They use something called uranium lead dating. Now, uranium lead dating, especially when you do it on certain kinds of crystals called zircons, is like super, super reliable. Just because the chemistry is really, really clean. And so I guess the question is like, what makes you think that that doesn't work?
I guess it's because it's kind of like alchemy. I guess that's where my brain's going right now. It kind of reminds me of alchemy. You know, we believe we can make lead into gold, and
which we can do, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And equivalent exchanges and such. But a lot of it, I think, is based on the idea of we believe it is, and so it will be. And then we make things so that it will be.
Well,
does that make sense? I'm sorry if it doesn't.
Yeah, I am a little confused because, look, I mean, the age of the Earth being 4.5 billion years old, it's not an old idea. It's like 70-ish years old, right? That's when that number kind of settled about 70 years ago. Before that, they weren't hoping that it was very old. They just did a measurement, and that was the number that came up. And then they did the measurement again and again and again, and they kept getting the same age. So it's just not clear to me that this was like an idea first, and then it was like forced into reality rather than the other way around.
Well, I'm just saying that we asked the question how old the Earth was, and then we made things to determine how old the Earth was, and then based on our understanding of numbers, we said, this is how old the Earth is, based on what we made to make those measurements.
Well, so to be precise, what happens is you go find a crystal. It's called a zircon. You can find them in asteroids, you can find them on Earth, whatever. You go find a crystal.
Right.
And the method, the uranium lead dating method, is you take the crystal and you basically just run it through a machine like it's a black box. But it's not. You basically do stuff to it to figure out what it's made out of. Figure out like how many of this atom are present, how much of this atom is present, how much of that atom is present, and so on. Right. It's called mass spectroscopy. That's one way that you can do this anyway. And so once you know what it's made out of, what impurities it has in it, like uranium, like lead, you can use that information to just as like input data to a calculator, and the calculator spits out an age. And so there's just not a lot of room for error.
I see. Because we make no room for error. Because
intentionally, we do things that have as minimal room for error because we want to make as accurate measurements as possible.
Right. Now, that's an interesting thought, though, because I understand it. According to our science, we had a period of time where we had what was called the bombardment, which is when things were just smashing into each other.
Yep.
So, in this case, when the Earth was being created during the bombardment, it is possible then that other materials influenced what we consider the age of the Earth.
So the early heavy bombardment, which is what you're referring to, that period of time would have predated what we call the formation of the Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we say that it's 4.5 billion years old, ish, and of course there's like 1% error, but when we say it's 4.5 billion years old, that's when the Earth was like done and it was a planet.
Okay. But how do we know that the bombardment isn't what we are measuring? Like,
It could be, but that was still, okay. So what we're measuring is we're measuring crystals, and we're measuring when those crystals solidified. So they, it all used to be liquid because it was like really, really hot. So you have like liquid rocks and stuff like this.
Right.
And then it crystallized. And so what we're measuring is how long ago those crystals solidified.
Okay.
And during that period, during that very, very early period, there were no solid crystals, right? Everything was like molten rock.
And slamming into each other.
yeah, and it was all sorts of messy. And so it's only after things calm down a little bit do you actually have crystals solidifying, and then those crystals solidifying, that lets us figure out the ages of those crystals. And by the way, we can also do this for not just the Earth, not just crystals found on Earth, but also crystals found in asteroids.
Right.
And those two ages basically line up, meaning that the asteroids solidified around the same time that the Earth solidified. And that would be an awfully big coincidence if it were the case that like the Earth was way older, or the Earth was way younger than the asteroid, or something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if I understand the asteroid belt properly, where most of our asteroids are coming from, those are created around the same time as during the bombardment and the late bombardments and so on.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Depending on which theory, well, I'm probably using the word theory incorrectly, so I apologize. In theory, the asteroid belt was at one point a planet, but at some point it was completely destroyed.
I think that sounds plausible. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Right.
But so, I mean, look, I think what's probably worth doing, and I actually have to end the live soon, which is unfortunate, but I think what's probably worth doing is just looking into, there's probably some good explainers. In fact, I might have some good explainers on my TikTok channel of like how this uranium lead dating works, and like what it's like when these crystals would have solidified. All of these things is pretty well explained. So, if you're curious, at least go read about it, and maybe it'll change your mind, maybe not, but at least then you'll be more well informed.
Okay. Well, just for my last few words before you end the live, a lot of the reasons I do doubt a lot of the science is due to the fact that the Earth naturally recycles itself on a regular basis, with things going into the crust, the tectonic plates and so on, everything going back into the core and then getting erupted. So it's really hard for me to understand how we could be precise about a date when the Earth is constantly recycling. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, look, so clearly not going to change your mind today, but, you know, maybe go read, and then we can talk again in the future.
Sounds
good?
like a plan.
All right.
Yep,
Take
have
care.
a fun time. Mhm.
I have to be nice to fellow Commander players. Like, I have to. Let me read some super chats and we'll call it a day. From Nikubito Bense, I don't know if I got that right, with the $2, thank you. Yes, we are the orc faction from Warhammer. I don't know what that means. I feel like there's some context here that I'm missing. And let's just double check I didn't miss any cash apps or anything. Okay, we did not miss any cash apps, so we're in the good. So y'all, like I said yesterday, I sent out an announcement. Before I do that, before I get into that, make sure that you join the Discord server. If you're 18 years or older, join the Discord server. You can, if you're on YouTube, you can talk with the TikTok people. If you're on TikTok, you can talk to the YouTube people. You also get announcements about when I'm live streaming, when I post videos, and those kinds of things as well. So it's a good place to be if you like watching this kind of content. You also have easy access to me. I like obsessively respond to stuff, so it's at least like, you know, try not to abuse the power, but I am there, and you know, my neuroatypicalities make it so that if I see a notification, I have to respond to it. But please don't abuse that. Anyway, I sent out a notification yesterday in the Discord that I have to have a procedure tomorrow morning. So either way, either I will have the live stream be late tomorrow, depends on what time the procedure is over, or I will just be canceling it tomorrow if it's too late. So if you don't see me tomorrow, I should be fine. It's a routine procedure. But, you know, I do have to go to the hospital and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, so if I don't see you tomorrow, I'm not dead, just probably sleepy. Take care, everybody.